having seen enough of these real versus fake air dramas. The first thing I did after returning to this wealthy family was address the first sisters protecting the fake heir. You don't want to treat me as your real brother. I don't care to recognize you as my sisters either. Since in your hearts, Xuan is the only one you see as a real brother, then he is the only brother you'll have. Keep him if you want. Just stay out of my way from now on. My words made the four Mu sisters' expressions change drastically. Father Mu and Pei Zuru were both angry and anxious. Seeing Pei Zuru's grief, I sighed. Don't overthink it, Mom. Neither should Dad. Since I chose to come back, I sincerely acknowledge you both, but only you two. I have no interest in chasing people who reject me. I am the esteemed young lord of Wangsi City. People have always been the ones trying to please me. Since when do I swallow my pride and humiliate myself to please others? Since I have taken over Mu Chen's body, I have formed a karmic bond with him. Father Mu and Pei Zuru are sincere with me, so naturally, I will treat them well. I will treat them as my biological parents. As for everyone else, that depends. A burst of sobbing suddenly broke the silence. Everyone at the table looked over instinctively. Mu Xuan's eyes were red as he tearfully said, Mom, Dad, sisters, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Brother, please don't blame our sisters. Before he could finish, I cut him off without ceremony. Enough. Stop sniveling here. What? Do you think you're starring in a melodrama? Put on your act if you like. I don't have time to watch. What exactly do you want? If that's what it takes, I'll leave and give your family its happiness back. As I spoke, I made to get up and leave. My sharp words made Mu Xuan flush bright red. He couldn't say another word. Chen, what nonsense are you talking about? This is your biological family. How can you just say you're leaving and walk away? Pei Zuru hurriedly spoke up. She reached out and tightly gripped my wrist, afraid I would truly leave in anger. This will always be your home. Do whatever makes you comfortable. No one in this house has the right to criticize you. After saying that, she secretly glared at her daughters. Having daughters is like raising a pack of debt collectors. Father Mu shot his daughters a fierce glare as well. That's right. You are master of this house. Anyone who doesn't like it can get out. From now on, do whatever you please. Let's see who dares object to you again. The Mu couple's attitude pleased me. At least they knew what mattered. If they had been just as confused, insisting their biological son suffer for the adopted son, then I would not have treated them especially well either. Mu Xuan felt embarrassed, wronged, and heartbroken. He wished he could vanish from the room at once, but he simply didn't have the nerve. He was no longer the Mu family's young master. Now, he was merely an adopted son dependent on someone else's charity. That thought made him feel even worse. Pei Zuru looked at Mu Xuan and gently comforted him. Xuan, don't cry here either. Didn't we discuss this before? Chen is Chen, and you're still you. There is no conflict between you. Just stay here peacefully. Mu Xuan continued to sob. I just feel terribly sorry for my brother. I froze just after taking a bite. Are you done yet? You keep saying you feel sorry for me, but I don't see you volunteering to leave the Mu family. Since you've chosen to stay, stop wearing that wounded expression. It's disgusting to watch. And I am not your real little brother. Call me by my name from now on. Of course, I could see what Mu Xuan was plotting. He just wanted to look pitiful and wronged, so everyone would pity and protect him. Such a cheap trick was beneath my notice. If he loved acting, he could keep acting. But if he refuses to know when to quit, then don't blame me for not showing our parents any respect. Mu Xuan's expression froze instantly. It was as though someone had slapped him in public. His complexion shifted from ashen to crimson. Inside, he was about to explode with rage. Yet with everyone watching, he couldn't lash out. After I had bluntly torn into him before everyone, if he kept playing the victim, it would look too deliberate. Mu Yuwei was the youngest of the four sisters. She also had the most fiery, impatient temperament. Seeing this, she immediately tried to speak up for Mu Xuan, but Mu Wanning quickly grabbed her and held her back. Mu Wanning looked at me across the table. Her eyes were filled with curiosity and scrutiny. This brother really did seem different. Mu Wanning's eyes flickered slightly. Welcome back to the family. Mom and Dad were absolutely right. From today on, this is your home. Do whatever makes you comfortable. You don't need to worry about anyone else's feelings. We were indeed careless today. We thought you and Dad wouldn't be home so soon, so we went out to handle some business. Please don't overthink this. We really are all happy you've come home. I gave her a cool glance and said nothing. Seeing his eldest daughter take the initiative, Father Mu finally looked somewhat satisfied. He turned and told the servants to keep serving the dishes. They had ordered the kitchen to prepare a lavish feast today. Every kind of dish had been prepared, because they didn't know what I liked to eat. By the way, Dad, where did Chen live before? Where are the people he used to call family? How should we handle those ties going forward? Mu Wanning seemed to suddenly remember something. She asked in a seemingly casual tone. Once she asked, Father Mu's expression shifted slightly. Mu Wanning's heart stirred. Dad, Why have you suddenly gone quiet? Is there something difficult to talk about? We're family now. Our brother's affairs are naturally our affairs too. You really don't need to keep hiding it from us. It seemed we wouldn't be able to finish this meal peacefully. If you want answers, ask me directly. I picked up a napkin and gently wiped my mouth. I was raised by an elderly Taoist priest from childhood. I lived in a rundown Taoist temple. It stood on a remote, desolate mountain. The conditions were poor, and few worshippers ever came. My master and I could barely keep ourselves fed, so I never attended school formally. My master taught me to read in the temple. I rarely came down the mountain growing up. My master passed away from old age 3 months ago. After he died, I lived alone at the temple, until Dad finally found me not long ago and brought me back here. After a brief pause, I added, that temple has now closed for good. After all, I'm no longer there. Of course, if I ever wanted to return, I could still go back and live there alone. In just a few words, I finished recounting my past. My tone remained calm and detached. There was no complaint or self-pity in my words, nor any blame toward fate. Yet Pei-Zuru and Father Mu were heartbroken as they listened. Both of their eyes reddened involuntarily. Mu Wanting and her 3 sisters were stunned, their feelings conflicted. They never imagined that, while they were unaware, he was supposed to be the Mu family's honored young master, whom the entire family should have cherished. Even Mu Yuwei began to feel guilty. She felt her earlier attitude had truly gone too far. Seeing this, Mu Xuan inwardly cried, oh no. He decided I was deeply calculating. Those words I had just said were clearly intentional. I was deliberately playing the victim to win everyone's sympathy. Instinctively, he wanted to apologize again, but suddenly remembered my attitude earlier. He swallowed the words at his lips and changed his approach. He chose what he thought was a cleverer way to put it. Xiaochen, now that you've returned home, your life will surely only get better. You've just returned, so you surely aren't used to things yet. If there's anything you don't understand or aren't familiar with, you can come find me anytime. I'll do everything I can to help you. If you don't mind and are willing, I can take you out and show you around, so you can get familiar with this place sooner. Oh, all right, thank you. Pei-Zuru squeezed my hand tightly and echoed his offer. Her eyes brimmed with pain and guilt. Mom, I'm fine. My master and I were happy before. Though our living conditions were difficult, the temple was quiet and comfortable. My master cared for me deeply too. I was happy throughout my childhood. What I had just said was true. The real Mu Chen had indeed lived a happy life. All these years, although life at the temple was difficult, his master had always loved him dearly. He did everything he could to give him the best of everything. There were barely any people at the temple, and the relationships around him were simple and pure. He lived freely every day, without restraint. Whenever he felt lonely as a child, he would play with animals on the mountain behind the temple. Even alone, he could have wonderful fun in the mountains. His days were carefree and without worries. Mu Chen once said he had never felt his life was hard. To him, true hardship came when his master fell gravely ill. When the illness became terminal and nothing could save him, his master was his only family in this world, his final emotional and spiritual anchor, and the first time he had known the agony of life and death separation. After his master died, he stayed alone at the temple. He had no one beside him to share his heart with. Every day was lonely and bleak. Half a month before Father Mu found him, Mu Chen went to gather firewood behind the mountain and accidentally fell off a cliff. He was all alone on that remote mountain. No one knew he had fallen from the cliff, and so he died there quietly without anyone knowing. After death, his soul went straight to Wangsi city. I happened to return to the city to handle routine affairs then. When I saw Mu Chen's soul, I found his fate unusually strange. Judging by his birth chart and features, he should have been destined for wealth, status, and good fortune. He possessed an exceptionally rare destiny blessed with both fortune and long life. Such a fate usually comes from good deeds accumulated over many lifetimes. Yet he had appeared in Wangsi city. That proved he had died violently somewhere far from home. The fate that should have been his had been altered by someone. As it happened, Wangsi city had recently run into serious trouble. I needed to make a personal trip to the mortal world, so I offered him a fair deal. I would borrow Mu Chen's identity in the human world to handle my affairs. We would each get what we needed. That was how I came to experience everything at the Mu residence today. But they would never believe what I had just said, especially Father Mu and Pei-Zuru. They became even more convinced their biological son was thoughtful and kind. They thought he had only said those things to comfort them. Their hearts ached for their pitiful biological son. He had been born to live as a pampered young master, yet had suffered outside the family for more than a decade. They swore to make it up to their biological son twice over. My words made the atmosphere at the dinner table heavy. Everyone was burdened by complicated thoughts. The 4 Mu sisters stopped picking fights. They silently lowered their heads and ate. Father Mu and Pei-Zuru focused all their attention on me. Now and then, they gently asked whether the food suited my taste. Xiaochen, which dish do you like best? Would you like Mom to serve you some hot soup? They took care of me with meticulous attention. Beside us, Mu Juan could not hide his disappointment. Mu Yuwei tried several times to say something, but whenever her gaze fell on me, her biological brother, she remembered what I had just said. The words at her lips slipped back down her throat. I simply focused on savoring the delicacies on the table, but the Mu family read something else into that. Peizuru watched me with tears in her eyes. Her heart ached beyond measure. It was obvious that, on the mountain, her son must have rarely had the chance to enjoy food this plentiful and delicious. After all, he had lived in a rundown temple on a remote mountain. Anyone could imagine how harsh those conditions had been. Being able to fill his stomach every day was already fortunate. How could he ever have tasted such fine delicacies from land and sea? Peizuru quietly made up her mind. From now on, she would make me different dishes every day. After dinner, all the children sat obediently in the living room. Father Mu claimed it was to bond with me now that I was home. I lounged comfortably on the large leather sofa in the center of the living room, eagerly watching the enormous flat-screen television before me. I watched the images on screen with great interest. Xiao Chen, do you really like watching television? Peizuru asked with a gentle smile. My eyes stayed fixed on the television as I nodded vigorously. This television is so fascinating. The scenes in it are far more interesting than opera on a stage. I haven't visited this bustling mortal world in a long time. I never expected the human world to have changed so much. I feel like a country bumpkin seeing the city for the first time. Seeing me like this, Peizuru's eyes reddened again. Her poor biological son. He was already so grown up, yet he had never even properly watched television. As she thought that, the program suddenly cut to commercials. Peizuru immediately picked up the remote from the table. Xiao Chen, Mom will switch to another channel for you. That drama you were watching has finished for today. Let's see what is on. There are plenty of fun shows to watch. I nodded obediently. I put on an especially well-behaved, compliant look. Peizuru casually pressed the remote and changed channels. The new channel was a family drama, so she set the remote down. But before long, the whole family's expressions turned awkward, especially Mu Juan, seated nearby. His fair, delicate face instantly flushed crimson. His eyes were full of barely concealed shame, anger, and frustration. The coincidence was absurd. The television was showing the classic real versus fake hair plot. It was the story of two children whose identities were accidentally switched when they were young, and today's episode was exactly when the real young master returned home. Peizuru stared at the screen, completely stunned. I switched channels at random, yet the plot on the screen was identical to what was happening in this family. It could not have been more awkward. In the drama, the protagonist was taken home by his biological parents. The biological son came home, but the adopted son remained. Not only did they not send him away, they pampered him even more. They treated him better than their biological son. They treasured the adopted son, while treating their biological son like a weed. The living room instantly filled with a strange, uncomfortable tension, and I casually commented, honestly, people in this world, why don't they cherish their biological son? Why favor an adopted son instead? Sure, he was raised by their side for many years, so it is only natural they can't bear to let him go. But they shouldn't wrong their biological child. I shook my head repeatedly, unable to understand. The Mu family felt I was taking a jab at them. Unfortunately, they had no proof. They had not sent Mu Juan away, but they had not favored him either. Nor had they neglected or mistreated Mu Chen. They truly could not bear to part with Mu Juan. After all, they had raised him for more than a decade. Affection builds over time. They could not simply abandon him, but they knew who was truly family. No matter how much they loved Mu Juan, he would never come before Mu Chen. So they believed Mu Chen was merely commenting on the drama, not criticizing them by implication. Even if he was implying something, he must have meant the sisters, not them. Father Mu and Peizuru quietly reassured themselves, hiding guilt in their hearts. At first, they had considered sending Mu Juan away. Mu Juan was nearly an adult. They could buy him a house elsewhere, send him living expenses regularly, and support him through college. But their daughters fiercely opposed it, doing everything they could to dissuade them, and they themselves could not harden their hearts. Father Mu shot his daughters a fierce glare. Mu Juan could not bear to stay any longer. Covering his face, he sobbed quietly. Then he turned and ran upstairs. I looked after him in confusion. What's wrong with him now? Mu Yuwei's face darkened. She restrained herself from speaking. Peizuru forced a smile. It's nothing. Perhaps he just hasn't adjusted yet. I frowned slightly. Then once I move back home, won't he cry every day? Wouldn't that drive everyone crazy? Peizuru choked on her words. She suddenly felt exhausted. Are you doing this on purpose? Mu Yuwei finally could not hold back. I immediately looked away, blinking innocently. Doing what on purpose? Mu Yuwei glared at me through gritted teeth. You deliberately provoked him just now. Mom and Dad said they would make it up to you. What else could you possibly be unhappy about? Will you only be happy once you've driven Mu Juan away? Now I understood. I tossed the remote onto the table, then rose to my feet. I glared coldly at Mu Yuwei. Then, do you want to force me out so I can make way for your precious brother? I come back to my own home, and I'm not even allowed to speak. Do I even have to worry about the fake hair's feelings when I speak? With that, I turned and walked away. The living room instantly fell silent. Father Mu stormed over in fury and sharply reprimanded his youngest daughter. Mu Yuwei repeatedly begged for mercy. I'm warning all of you. If you treat Mu Chen like this again, I'll throw every one of you out. His expression turned frighteningly stern. You all need to understand this. Mu Chen is your biological brother. Your brother by the same mother. When it comes to the switch between him and Mu Xuan, he is far more innocent than Mu Xuan. You're only worried that Mu Xuan will suffer. Why don't you think about all these years? About how much your real brother has suffered and how much hardship he's endured. The Mu family doesn't mind continuing to support him, but he must never come before Mu Chen. Father Mu's gaze settled on his youngest daughter. His expression was grim. You're close to Mu Xuan's age. You've been closest since childhood. I understand why you defend him, but you must understand this. Mu Chen has done nothing wrong. He doesn't owe any of you a thing. I'll say this only once. If anyone makes Mu Chen sad again, I'll skin her alive. Mu Yuwei's mouth twitched. She felt that was aimed directly at her. Dad, don't worry. We know where the line is. Mu Wanning spoke up, explaining today's events again. We didn't think you'd be back so soon, so we agreed to watch his competition. If we'd known you were coming home early, I definitely wouldn't have gone to watch the competition. Mu Ruolin and Mu Yakin nodded. The two were twin sisters. Father Mu and Pei Zuru went upstairs with dark expressions. The four sisters remained in the living room, staring at one another. Big sister, don't you think our brother is kind of... Mu Ruolin paused. It took her a while to find the right word to describe their newly returned brother. Different. His personality is pretty unique. Mu Wanning thought back over that night's events. Mu Wanning nodded in agreement. He's not one to take a loss lying down. That mouth of his can tear people apart, but he doesn't seem to do it on purpose. He isn't deliberately trying to provoke anyone. He just says whatever is on his mind. He simply doesn't know how to soften his words. He's a little too blunt. Then she thought of her other brother's behavior and couldn't help frowning. Mu Xuan really is too sensitive. If he keeps acting like this and doesn't adjust his mindset soon, he'll only hurt himself in the end. Just like Dad said, even though we've lived with him for over a decade and care deeply for him, we can't keep doing this again and again, hurting our biological brother for his sake. He has to change this mindset. Mu Wanning turned to Mu Yuwei. You're closest to Mu Xuan, and you're nearest in age. Talk him through this properly. Tell him to stop overthinking. Now that Mu Chen is back, Mom and Dad will naturally favor him. That's only natural, but it doesn't mean they'll stop caring about Mu Xuan. He's still Mom and Dad's son. Mu Yuwei was young and impulsive, but she wasn't foolish. She nodded solemnly. I understand. And one more thing. Mu Wanning's expression turned stern. She assumed an eldest sister's authority. Treat Mu Chen better from now on, or don't blame me for putting you in your place. After lecturing her youngest sister, Mu Wanning rose and returned to her room. Mu Ruolin and Mu Yakin exchanged a look. Let's go. Mu Yuwei was furious. What kind of nonsense is this? We all did it together. Why did it all become my fault in the end? I didn't care what the people downstairs thought. I returned to my room and shut the door. My parents had prepared this room with care. It was exquisitely decorated, from the room's design to its furnishings. Everything was in a style young boys liked. Thankfully, it wasn't pink. Otherwise, in a room like that, I feared I'd be unable to sleep all night. The moment I entered, I sensed a faint abnormal ripple in the air. With a light wave of my hand, I set a barrier around the room, so no one would notice anything unusual or grow suspicious. Then, out of thin air, someone appeared in the room. A man in a black robe, wearing a small ghost mask. The man approached and dropped to one knee before me. Your Highness. I frowned at him. Why are you here? The moment I asked, a bad feeling rose in my heart. Sure enough, the city lord sent me with a message. My sister has returned to Wangsi City. Hasn't she been at the 6th hall? How long has it been since she returned to Wangsi City? How could I have only just come to the human world? And she has already returned to Wangsi City. Before I left, I still held on to hope. I thought once she finished her business, she'd report back directly. My sister hadn't even returned to Wangsi City yet, but things didn't go my way. I barely slipped out, and she went back right after me. Remembering her past warning, a flicker of guilt crossed my eyes. My sister had warned me repeatedly. I was never to come to the human world without permission. Any matters involving the city had to be discussed first, but I happened to meet Mu Chen, and the timing seemed perfect. While my sister was away, I arranged everything myself. With my sister's strict temperament, I'm afraid I'll get a beating this time. Your Highness, the city lord has returned to Wangsi City. She discovered that your Highness came to the human world without permission. She is extremely angry. That is why she ordered me to deliver this message. After speaking, he rose and made a gesture as if presenting a letter. A faint light flashed in midair. An envelope appeared out of nowhere. Then it slowly vanished, and a line of words clearly appeared. It rippled gently in the air, before quickly dissolving into nothing. It was visible only briefly, but I saw it clearly. It was supposedly a line of text. Actually, it was only 4 words, She'll arrive soon. What a headache. It isn't a good idea for my sister to come to the human world, is it? The masked man's voice remained utterly flat. Your Highness, no one can change the city lord's decision. In other words, I should stop wasting my thoughts on it and obediently prepare to receive her. I fell silent at once. The man quickly vanished from the room. I deflated like a punctured balloon, completely dejected. My sister is coming. But how exactly does she plan to come? It would be best if she came as the city lord. Then she definitely couldn't stay for long. That thought rekindled my hope. As for her settling scores with me afterward, I did this for Wang's and city's sake. Surely she won't be too harsh, considering that. On the third day, when the Mu family came downstairs, they found me watching television in the living room. They all stopped in their tracks. They blinked hard, then looked at the large clock in the living room. For a moment, everyone fell silent. It was only just after 6 in the morning. Hearing movement behind me, I looked away from the television that had absorbed me. I glanced back at those coming downstairs and casually greeted them. Good morning. After greeting them, I immediately turned back to keep watching. I looked so focused, as if I didn't want to waste even a second. Peizuru paused, then came back to herself. She walked straight over to me and slowly sat beside me. First, she looked at the television screen. The morning news was playing. Chen, you like watching television so much. How about Mom has one installed in your room? Then you can watch it in there too. Peizuru now wanted nothing more than to do whatever it took to fulfill every one of her son's wishes. My eyes lit up at once. I was just about to nod yes when Mu Wanting came downstairs and spoke before I could. Mom, that isn't a good idea. If you put a television in little brother's room, what if he gets hooked on it and refuses to sleep at night? He's still growing. Her words reminded Mom. That's right. The way my son is obsessed with it. If he had a television in his room, he'd definitely watch all night. Absolutely not. She quickly changed her mind. Mom didn't think this through. That really won't do. We can't interfere with Chen's rest. You should watch in the living room instead. Mom can watch with you, and we can discuss the plot together. My wonderful dream of watching television all night was crushed. I gave Mu Wanting a resentful look. This eldest sister must really dislike me. She won't even let me watch television. Compared to her, my sister seems much better. Peizuru noticed her son's displeasure. She found it amusing, yet her heart ached for him. What child these days doesn't play on their phone? Television isn't anything special to them, yet her son found it so fascinating. Who would believe that if she told them? She coaxed me gently. Having one in your room really isn't practical. It would affect your sleep too much. You can't stay in your room all the time. Your room is for sleeping. If you want to watch it in the living room. No one in this house likes television, so no one will fight you for it. After thinking it over, I understood. I obediently nodded. Then I emphasized one thing. No one is allowed to fight me for the remote. Peizuru couldn't help laughing softly. Her gaze overflowed with affection. All right. Every television in this house is yours. If anyone dares fight you over the channel, I'll teach her a lesson for you. As she spoke, she pointedly glared at the daughters coming downstairs one after another. Mu Wanting's mouth twitched. How long had it been since she'd watched television? Why would she fight little brother over it? If anyone would, it would be the youngest. Mu Wanting glanced at her fourth sister. Mu Yuwei instantly reacted as if someone had stepped on her tail. Big sister, why are you looking at me? Do you think I'd fight him for the channel? She wasn't that childish. The moment she protested indignantly, sitting in the living room, Peizuru, the Mu family's other 3 daughters, Mu Xuan, who had just come downstairs, and Father Mu all looked at her. I leisurely added another jab. Even if you wanted to fight me, you'd have to see whether you could win. Peizuru immediately shouted at her youngest daughter, you're not allowed to fight Chen over television again. Do you hear me? If I find out you've bullied him, I'll have your father take away all your allowance. You won't get to keep a cent. Mu Yuwei looked like a thoroughly wrong little frog. Her cheeks puffed out, her face full of indignation. She secretly shot me several glares. I couldn't even be bothered to spare her a sideways glance. I angered her so much she didn't even want breakfast. Ordinary children his age would usually be in their final year of high school. Mu Xuan was set to take his college entrance exams next June. By rights, Mu Chen should be as well. But he had lived in a Taoist temple all his life, without any formal schooling. Yet he was already this age. Which grade should he start from? Could he keep up if he went straight into his final year? His school registration would be easy enough to arrange, but deciding which grade he should enter was troubling. The more Father Mu considered it, the deeper his frown grew. He brought up the matter of school with me. It would be a perfect chance for me to learn about this world. Beside us, Mu Xuan's eyes shifted. He suggested with a smile, Dad, why not have Chen join our class? That way, I can look after him more easily and help him with his studies. I didn't even glance at him. Father Mu was somewhat tempted, but worried his son wouldn't keep up academically. If he couldn't keep up, his grades would be awful. Mu Xuan had always been an excellent student. Once people compared the two, they would realize the Mu family's switch child scandal was impossible to keep secret in their social circle. They had never intended to conceal it. Once everyone knew, they would inevitably compare the two. What if it hurt his son's pride? Mu Wanting spoke calmly. Dad, you don't need to worry so much about that. If little brother can't keep up, we can hire a private tutor for one-on-one lessons. We can teach him ourselves when we're free. This semester is nearly over. Little brother can enroll when next semester begins. He can use the time to catch up. I'm sure it won't be a big problem. Peizuru's eyes lit up. She clapped her hands excitedly. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? We can hire a private tutor. Aside from the youngest, who isn't very good at school, you three all have excellent grades. You can definitely tutor Xiao Chen in final year courses. With that, she made the decision herself. Let Xiao Chen rest at home for a couple of days first. Then you three sisters can take turns, each tutoring one subject, so Xiao Chen can quickly get familiar with the schoolwork. Mu Wanting nodded. Fine, since big sister had agreed. The second and third sisters nodded as well. For a moment, Mu Yuwei didn't know whether to feel relieved or annoyed at being looked down on. I had intended to refuse, but seeing all three sisters agree, and Peizuru so enthusiastic, I silently swallowed my refusal. Mu Xuan bit his lower lip and lowered his gaze, hiding the deep hurt in his eyes. The Mu family's switch child incident had long ceased to be a secret in their circle. My parents never intended to hide it. They had even made plans long ago. Once I adjusted, they would host a banquet, inviting prominent people from their circle to openly restore my identity. That way, no one could mock me when I went out, or make me suffer. Though I didn't much like such occasions, I understood it was a necessary step. Otherwise, outsiders would surely speculate wildly, thinking that I, the real young master, wasn't welcome, or was even overshadowed by Mu Xuan, the false young master. After I had somewhat adjusted to my new surroundings, Peizuru eagerly dragged me to the mall for a shopping spree. Other than big sister and father, who had to work, everyone else was dragged along to shop with me. Only Mu Xuan was left behind. Mu Yuwei sat in the passenger seat, sulking. Every so often, she glared at me through the rearview mirror. I couldn't be bothered to even lift my eyes. Anyone could guess what she was angry about. Mu Xuan didn't want to come. Was I supposed to beg him to join us? When we reached the mall parking lot, Mu Yuwei rushed to park the car. Mu Rulin and Mu Yakin stayed with Mom and entered the mall with me. Thus began our shopping trip. The Mu daughters were in charge of carrying bags the entire time. Peizuru affectionately linked arms with me. As we walked, I suddenly stopped. Tilting my head, I listened carefully for a moment. Mom, did any of you hear a strange sound? I think I just heard a dull thud, like something fell from high above and slammed heavily into the ground. And it definitely wasn't an ordinary object. That sound was very unusual. Peizuru tilted her head and listened to. No, I didn't. This is a major mall. It's packed with people. Even if some sound carried over, it would surely just be the crowd. As she spoke, Mu Rulin noticed something was wrong ahead. Faint screams drifted over. Mom, something seems to have happened up ahead. My eyes flickered. I reached back and grabbed Peizuru's wrist. Mom, let's go take a look. Before anyone could stop me, I was already pulling Mom into a run. We pushed toward the scene. The sisters were left staring at one another. Why is he so nosy? Mu Yuwei muttered as she hurried over after parking. Mu Rulin gave her a brief glare. If Mom hears you, you'll get another scolding. Mu Yuwei rolled her eyes speechlessly. We should hurry after them. If something really has gone wrong, Mom and little brother could be in danger. Mu Yakin said steadily. Then she set off after them. Mu Rulin quickly followed too. Mu Yuwei trailed along at an unhurried pace. Peizuru was pulled into a jog by her son. They soon reached the gathered crowd. Watching her son force his way through, the corner of her mouth twitched. Who would have thought? Xiao Chen usually seems so distant, but he loved a spectacle. Oh my, doesn't that make him even cuter? But when Peizuru saw the scene ahead clearly, her face went deathly pale. She cried out in terror, instinctively shielding me with her body. Still feeling that wasn't safe enough, she quickly turned and covered my eyes. She wouldn't let me see the horrifying sight. A terrible accident had happened in the mall. I only wanted to see what was going on. Why was she covering my eyes? I'm from the underworld. One look would tell me how this person died. If they died unjustly, wouldn't they have to go to my Wangsi city? They'd become one of my subordinates. Sigh. Wangsi city is nearly overflowing already. Mom, I'm not a child anymore. I'm not scared. I gently lowered Peizuru's hand. I spoke with utter calm. Peizuru shot me an exasperated look. How are you not a child? You haven't even had your birthday yet. What a blunder. A dignified 1,000-year-old ghost like me, reduced to being a child. Mu Rulin caught up and stood protectively before me too. I rubbed my forehead helplessly. Mall security immediately stepped in. They also called the police at once and summoned an ambulance. They began dispersing the dense crowd of onlookers hookers. Peizuru wasn't about to let me indulge my curiosity. She insisted on dragging me away immediately. The incident had affected her after all. Peizuru had bought nearly everything she wanted, so she decided to head home first. We could come back another day. With a fatal incident at the mall, the place felt truly ill-omened. Mom, you go wait in the car first. I'm going to get some air in the hallway. Peizuru wanted to come with me, but I refused firmly. I'm not a 3-year-old toddler. I don't need a parent glued to my side just to get some air. Following the signs, I went to a long corridor. As I stood by its window, a young man approached. He jumped when he saw me by the window, then hurried past with his head lowered. I fixed my gaze on his retreating back. My nostrils flared slightly. I gently sniffed the air. I caught a faint scent of death. I deliberately lingered by the window. The man soon came back. He froze when he saw I was still there. He clearly hadn't expected me not to have left. I waited leisurely for him to approach, then sniffed carefully again. I confirmed it truly came from him. That scent of death. Though it was faint, I gave him a searching look. What are you looking at? Never seen a handsome guy before? He immediately noticed my stare. Like I'd struck a nerve, he snapped. Then he hurried away in a panic. His retreating back reeked of guilt and panic. When someone's life is nearing its end, they carry a strong aura of death. That man clearly wasn't like that. That left only to possibilities. Either it had rubbed off on him from someone else, or he had killed someone himself. The first possibility had too many variables to judge. The second was far more straightforward. I couldn't help thinking of the mall incident and the young woman who had fallen from above. I calmly clapped my hands and turned to leave. Peizuru waited anxiously in the car. After that horrifying incident, she couldn't shake an uneasy premonition. She feared something might happen to the son she'd just found. Only after we got home safely did her tightly wound heart finally settle. She soon put the mall incident out of mind, busy sorting through everything we'd bought. As for me, I collapsed onto the sofa the moment I got home, turned on the television, and kept watching with relish. I had become a die-hard television addict. Mu Ruolin and Mu Yakin returned to their rooms to study. Both sisters were top students. They would be seniors next year, so their studies had become especially demanding. Mu Yuwei had the most free time. She sprawled across the living room sofa, seeing Mom busy upstairs. She couldn't hold back her sharp tongue. She sneered, "Country bumpkin, what's so interesting about television? You really haven't seen the world." I kept my eyes glued to the television screen. Hearing her, I nodded. I admitted it, without the slightest shame. Yes, I grew up in a Taoist temple deep in the mountains. Of course, I haven't seen much of the world. I am the prince of Wangsi city. After Niu dumped all the work on me, I was run off my feet. I truly had no time for the trivial affairs of the living world. I only knew the general state of things. But now that I had taken Mu Chen's place, I needed to learn about this world as quickly as possible. Watching television seemed the fastest way. Without leaving home, I could know what was happening everywhere. How convenient. Mu Yuwei was left utterly speechless. You did that on purpose, didn't you? You're deliberately bringing this up to make us feel guilty. So, we'd feel we owed you, and secure your place in this family. Mu Yuwei kept rambling on. I gave her a contemptuous look. I looked at her as though she were an idiot. From the corner of my eye, I spotted someone coming downstairs. Without the slightest hesitation, I loudly tattled. "Mom, Mu Yuwei is insulting me again. She called me a country bumpkin. She said I was deliberately making you feel guilty, trying to make you think you've wronged me. She dislikes me so much. Is she trying to force me out of this family?" Mu Yuwei's eyes flew wide open. She nearly spat blood in outrage. Before she could react, someone seized her ear and yanked hard. "Calm down, Mom. Calm down. Don't listen to his nonsense." I absolutely didn't. Mu Yuwei grimaced in pain, yet still loudly defended herself. I pointed a finger at her nose. My cheeks puffed up angrily, with just the right touch of grievance on my face. She said it herself. She called me a country bumpkin, who had never even seen a television. I already explained. I grew up in a Taoist temple deep in the mountains. It is perfectly normal that I have not seen much of the world. Then she started criticizing me. Mu Yuwei opened her mouth to argue, but she had indeed said all those things. That was not what she meant at all. "You are asking for a beating. Get over here. I will teach you a lesson today. Do not disrupt your brother while he watches television." This time, Peizuru showed no mercy. She dragged her aside by the ear, determined to teach that little brat a proper lesson. What was wrong with this child? She adored Mu Chen so much, treating him like some priceless treasure. Why did she target little Chen the moment he returned? Little Chen was her real brother, her full-blood brother from the same mother. How could she be so incapable of seeing what mattered? Clearly, she had not been disciplined enough. I cast a cold glance at Mu Yuwei as she cried out in pain. I did not feel the slightest sympathy. I even shot her a deeply smug look. It nearly drove Mu Yuwei mad with rage. I saw it clearly now. Of the Mu families for daughters, Mu Yuwei was by far the dimmest. She was hopelessly stupid. My attention returned to the television. I kept my eyes fixed on the news channel, as though anxiously waiting for something. Just as expected, the local station reported on the mall incident. At around 11 this morning, a fall from height incident occurred at Four Seasons Mall downtown. A young woman was critically injured in an accident at the mall. Resuscitation efforts failed, and she tragically died. Police are still investigating the cause of her fall. She really died. My expression darkened slightly. I could not help recalling the man from the hallway. He was around the same age. He had looked extremely panicked and guilty. More importantly, he carried the scent of death. Could that man be connected to her death? Had the girl fallen by accident, committed suicide, or been murdered? I wished I could investigate the scene at once, to see whether her allotted life had ended, or she had died an unnatural death. But I had only recently returned to the Mu family. I knew nothing about the city. Going out alone would be nearly impossible. With that in mind, I had no choice but to put the thought aside for now. After the news report ended, I rose unhurriedly. Then I slowly walked to the other side. Seemingly out of kindness, I began to persuade her. Mom, please stop scolding her. Actually, she was not wrong earlier. Before I could finish, Yuwei roared resentfully. I do not need your fake concern. That stirred up a hornet's nest. Peizuru, who had nearly calmed down, felt her anger surge again. Little Chen, do not mind this little brat. She is tough as nails. Even breaking a feather duster on her would not hurt her. Mom has stewed something nourishing for you in the kitchen. Go see whether it is ready. Peizuru deliberately sent her son away. I gave Yuwei a look full of sympathy. Then I cheerfully headed to the kitchen for food. Yuwei thought I was simply gloating. She glared furiously at my back. Peizuru caught her red-handed. Yuwei, today, Peizuru was determined to break a feather duster on Yuwei. I had been considering how to find the man I met in the hallway that day, when an opportunity came right to my door. The Mu family was holding a lavish banquet to formally recognize me as their son. Nearly every prominent figure in Haishi's upper circle received an invitation from the Mu family. On the day of the banquet, the Mu villa was buzzing with activity. The air was filled with perfume and glamour. Glasses clinked in endless toast. Elegantly dressed socialites were everywhere, alongside successful men in tailored suits. They gathered in small groups to chat. I remained in my upstairs room. Peizuru was too busy downstairs, planning to come get me when the time came. Then she would formally introduce me to everyone. After changing into my custom formal wear, I left my room when it was nearly time. As I passed Mu Zhuan's room, I paused. I tilted my head and listened. It was not that I meant to eavesdrop. It was simply that, with all the noise downstairs, the people inside spoke a little louder, and I was no ordinary mortal. A brief listen was enough for me to recognize the voice. The woman speaking with Mu Zhuan was, nominally, my eldest aunt. Because of this grand recognition banquet, the Mu family members from the capital had all come. That included my eldest uncle's family, who inherited the Mu company, an ancestral home, as well as most of the family's assets, and the haughty old Madame Mu. Still, their sincerity seemed rather limited. The banquet was being held today, yet they had only arrived leisurely last night. Old Madame Mu stayed at the Mu villa. The eldest branch went straight to a downtown hotel. Resting my chin on one hand, I pondered. Mu Zhuan seemed quite close to the eldest branch. From beginning to end, this eldest aunt had given me nothing more than a dismissive glance, followed by a few perfunctory pleasantries. As I pondered, footsteps sounded inside. I hurried back into my room. After the two left the room and went downstairs, I reopened my door and stepped out. Peizuru happened to come upstairs to me. She immediately smiled when she saw me all dressed up. Her eyes brimmed with love and admiration. Little Chen, you look so handsome tonight. That was not an exaggeration. Peizuru believed it was likely due to his cultivation. He had been removed from worldly turmoil, which had given him such a pure, unclouded presence. The more she looked, the more she adored him. The more she looked, the more her heart ached for him. She silently swore to herself that she would do everything to protect her son, so he could always remain as he was now, and live without a care for the rest of his life. It was nearly time. Come on, Mom will take you downstairs. After the steps, I asked casually, should we not bring Mu Zhuan too? No, tonight's banquet is for you. He is with his eldest aunt. It is fine. If we call him, he will probably overthink it again. That child has been terribly sensitive lately. They did not know what to do about it either. His eldest aunt seems to dote on him. From what I had learned recently, my so-called father and his older brother did not seem particularly close. Otherwise, after the family split years ago, he would not have come to Haishi to start from scratch. Though they returned to the capital for reunions each year, it was purely out of respect for old Madame Mu. As for why his eldest aunt favored Mu Zhuan so much, Peizuru did not find it strange at all. She patiently explained, you know your father's family situation. He has an older brother and an older sister. Your eldest uncle and aunt do not have a son. Your aunt does have a son, but he does not carry the Mu name. I am the only one who gave birth to a precious son like you. So, as she spoke, Guilt clouded Peizuru's brow. The one who should have received all that affection should have been her little Chen. He was the young master the Mu family should have cherished. But fate had played a cruel trick. Thinking of the past made her heart ache again. I raised my brows slightly. So that was the reason. I had been back with the Mu family for over half a month. Tonight was my first formal appearance. Peizuru and my father stood on either side of me. I slowly descended the stairs. My appearance and bearing instantly drew everyone's attention. Every guest's gaze was fixed firmly on me. There was not the least trace of timidity or hesitation. The poise in every gesture was clearly that of someone a wealthy family had poured endless effort into. The young master of a prestigious family. When Mu Chen saw me commanding everyone's attention, his heart clenched. His gaze remained locked on me. He could not hide his disappointment and deep jealousy. Mu Chen, do not panic. He is only putting on an act right now. Anyone can put on an act. You are the young master the Mu family raised. Never forget that. You have lived with the Mu family for over 10 years. So what if he is their biological son? Affection takes time to build. Lu Manqi noticed Mu Zhuan's emotional turmoil. She reassuringly patted the back of his hand. She comforted him gently. Mu Zhuan forced a bitter smile. Eldest aunt, I am fine. I am actually happy for them. Mom and dad have found their biological son. That is wonderful news. I have enjoyed the Mu family's care for all these years. When all is said and done, I have wronged little Chen. Lu Manqi shot him an annoyed glare. She rebuked him quietly. What does this have to do with you? You were only a baby back then. His parents were the ones who failed to keep watch, which caused the mix-up. No one can blame you for it. Enough. Put your mind at ease. Do not overthink it. I know your parents well. They have lovingly raised you for all these years. Even now that their biological son is back, they will never stop loving you. You need to set your mind straight. Do not demean yourself. In short, remember this. You have done nothing wrong. You have wronged no one. Do you understand? Mu Chen bit his lip and nodded softly. He said nothing more that would annoy anyone. His parents certainly would not stop loving him, but it could never be like before. In the past, at home, even throughout the entire Mu family, whether in Haishi or the capital, he had been the Mu family's only precious grandson. The whole family had cherished him. They granted his every wish. He was all they saw and cared about. But what about now? He could keenly feel the enormous difference. Since Mu Chen returned, it felt as though his parents no longer had eyes for him. Their hearts and eyes were filled only with Mu Chen. Even his sisters were the same. Only his fourth sister still wholeheartedly stood up for him. The more Mu Chen thought about it, the more wronged he felt. Everything had once belonged to him, but now he had to give more than half of it away. Who could bear such a blow? While he was lost in thought, my father and Peizuru had already ceremoniously introduced me to the guest. They made no effort to hide how much they valued and loved me. The four Mu sisters stood beside their parents as well. To everyone watching, that scene carried a very different meaning. Mu Chen, the Mu family is going too far. They are over there acting like one big happy family. Why are they leaving you out? Lu Manqi had gone to mingle with guests. The wealthy young men usually close to Mu Chen gathered around him, indignant on his behalf. Do not talk nonsense. Tonight is little Chen's moment. This banquet was specially held for him. He is unquestionably the guest of honor. What would it look like if I went up there too? It was not that Father Mu and Peizuru meant to exclude him. Earlier, Peizuru had suggested that Mu Chen join them on stage, but Mu Chen had firmly refused. He insisted that Mu Chen was the true young master. The banquet was specifically for Mu Chen, so he truly should not stand up there. He had sounded perfectly reasonable. After considering it, Peizuru felt that having him stand beside them might not be good for him. It would inevitably invite comparisons, which would only make his situation more awkward, so the matter was dropped. But though she had let it go, Mu Chen felt wronged all over again. Though that was what he said now, his voice could not conceal his disappointment. That made his friends even more indignant for him. Mu Chen, even if Mu Chen is the true young master, you have been with the Mu family for over 10 years. There is no reason for them to push you aside the moment he returns. What difference would it make for the Mu family to raise one more son? By rights of seniority, he is the outsider who came later. How can you judge this by who came first? He is mom and dad's biological son. He suffered so much in a Taoist temple deep in the mountains, while I enjoyed every comfort with the Mu family. It is natural for him to resent it. I understand all that. I will never hold it against him. Mu Chen put on a magnanimous front. His friend curled his lip disdainfully. The contempt in his eyes was undisguised. A wild boy raised in a Taoist temple deep in the mountains, who may not have even seen a television before. I cannot believe such a hick even exists. Between you and that uncultured hick, anyone with sense knows whom they should favor. The Mu family used wealth and influence to carefully mold you into a refined young master. How could that hick possibly compare? If Uncle Mu and Aunt Pei cannot see that. They will regret it one day. Just wait for that hick to disgrace the Mu family and turn them into a laughingstock of high society. Mu Xuan, you cannot be so soft-hearted. The more you give in, the more people will walk all over you. You must fight for what is yours. Mu Xuan nodded repeatedly. I know. Do not worry. No one at home bullies me. My fourth sister still treats me as well as ever. His reassuring words were actually meant to stir trouble. By saying only that Mu Yuwei treated him as before, was he not indirectly saying his other three sisters no longer cared for him as much as they once had? Now that they had their biological brother, they no longer wanted their adopted one. Mu Xuan stopped while he was ahead and said no more. He did not truly want to do anything bad. Seeing Mu Chen steal the spotlight just now had suddenly made him fear Mu Chen would quickly fit into their circle, then take away all the attention that belonged to him. So he decided to plant a few doubts in his friends' minds first. 1 tells 10, and 10 tell 100. Even if it could not truly stop anything, it would at least have some effect, right? As they spoke, they saw tonight's undisputed star, namely me, walking their way. Their expressions shifted slightly, but they quickly forced themselves to stay calm. They reassured themselves that I had not heard what they said. What was there to fear? Why should they feel guilty? Mu Xuan was actually feeling somewhat guilty too, so he did not notice that one of his friends beside him had turned pale when he saw me. He quickly lowered his eyes. His hands unconsciously twisted tightly together, then sprang apart as if burned. He pretended to be calm and natural. You look very handsome tonight. Mu Xuan praised me with a gentle smile. I nodded slightly. Is it not only natural that I am handsome? Come to think of it, it was quite a curious twist of fate. Mu Chen himself did bear some resemblance to me. When I saw Mu Chen's soul form in Wangsi City, even I was surprised. I never expected this newly arrived unlucky ghost to look somewhat like me. Later, I thought it over carefully. Perhaps it was a connection ordained by fate. I accepted the compliment with complete ease. My gaze settled on the man beside Mu Xuan. And this is... Mu Xuan looked rather surprised. After glancing at his friend, he introduced him. This is my good friend, Jiang Yan. He is the young master of the Jiang family. Mu Xuan had known Jiang Yan the longest. They had been inseparable friends since elementary school. They had stayed by each other's side ever since. So, you are young Master Jiang. I deliberately drew out the final word. My tone held a meaningful edge. Mu Xuan looked strangely between us. He asked in confusion, Little Chen, do you know Jiang Yan? Before I could answer, Jiang Yan hurriedly denied it. No, we do not know each other at all. But he was far too eager, which only made him seem suspicious. The smile on my face grew even more meaningful. We truly do not know each other. We only ran into each other in a mall corridor a few days ago. I deliberately dragged out my words before I could finish. Jiang Yan anxiously cut me off. I just remembered I have something urgent to handle. I will be going now. We can get together another day. With that, he turned and fled before Mu Xuan could respond. No matter how one looked at it, he was fleeing in panic. I had come over intending to test him. I never expected Jiang Yan to crack so easily. Was that not practically telling me outright that something was definitely wrong? If there were nothing wrong, why would he be panicking like that? With that thought, my gaze settled on Mu Xuan. Mu Xuan went rigid beneath my stare. A strange nervousness seized him. He stammered, What is it? This friend of yours. I spoke slowly, as if I were deliberately keeping Mu Xuan on edge. Little Chen, if Jiang Yan ever offended you, please do not hold it against him. He surely did not mean to offend you. He is actually a good person. I smiled indifferently. It is fine, since he is your good friend. Invite him to our home sometime. Mu Xuan was clearly taken aback. He opened his mouth to say something, but I gave him no chance to speak. Let us make it the day after tomorrow. Invite him over to the house. I will have the kitchen prepare in advance some exquisite desserts for him. The eldest branch of the family will be back in the capital that day too. My tone was not asking for his agreement. It was a cold, final notice. After saying that, I turned and left. I gave Mu Xuan no chance to refuse. Mu Xuan and his friends were left staring at each other. Their minds were full of questions. I had my reasons for keeping an eye on Jiang Yan, besides smelling death on him that day. The news later reported on the matter as well. It said the girl who fell from the mall that day had died in an accidental fall. If it truly had been an accident, that would be one thing, but I had clearly sensed resentment. It came from the girl who had fallen. Though I was now in the mortal world, when Wangsi City gained a new resident, I could naturally still sense it. Wen Yimo had become caught in a dispute, and ultimately died in what was ruled an accidental fall, but they had covered up the truth. Every day, countless people in this world die naturally, or by unnatural means. I cannot sense every soul that dies an unnatural death. It takes a certain chance for that connection to be triggered. I supposed it was because at the mall that day. I happened to be at the scene, and I had been close to the deceased. That was why I sensed her resentment so sharply. Wangsi City is where those who die unexpectedly linger. Those who die naturally follow the normal process. The underworld then considers their life deeds to determine where they should go next. Most are reincarnated. A few ascend because of their virtue. Others are sent to Wangsi City until their original lifespan ends. Those innocently caught up in another's wrongdoing must wait for the truth to come out. Only after their resentment fades can they reincarnate. But Wangsi City was now overcrowded. Souls that should have reincarnated could not leave. They could only remain there. Day after day, year after year. Many souls still came to Wangsi City, but fewer and fewer left. If this continued, Wangsi City would cease to exist, and countless souls would vanish with it. The reason was this. The gate of rebirth had somehow closed. It could not be opened. Naturally, the spirits could not leave. My sister and I had wrestled with this problem for a long time. We tried countless methods, but none worked. Later, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva gave us a clue. Only then did my sister and I finally understand. That was why I came to the mortal world. My purpose in coming here was to gather merit and faith, reopen the gate of rebirth, and restore Wangsi City. Now an opportunity had come to me. I could hardly turn it away, could I? No matter how Mu Chen thought about it, he could not figure out what I wanted. After the banquet, he brought up the matter and told Peizuru about it. He had thought that, given Peizuru's current concern for me, she might refuse. Instead, she gladly agreed. Unable to change Peizuru's mind, he ran into Mu Yuwei on his way out. His eyes flickered. He greeted her as usual, then looked as though he wanted to speak, but held back. Anyone could see that he had something to say, especially Mu Yuwei, who cared about him. Mu Yuwei had originally wanted to avoid him. She felt somewhat guilty. She felt little Xuan had been wrong tonight, but there was nothing she could do. Little Xuan had grown up with her. She and her sisters had spoiled him for over a decade, but little Chen was her biological brother too. She loved them both equally. If protecting little Xuan from hurt meant making little Chen suffer instead, that was simply unacceptable. If she dared do that, their parents would dare throw her out. So, she did not know how to face him for the moment. Avoiding little Xuan seemed best, but seeing his troubled expression, as if he had something to say, but was afraid to, her heart still softened. Little Xuan, is there something you want to tell your fourth sister? Mu Chen bit his lip and hesitated. Fourth sister, little Chen, I do not know whether Jiang Yan offended little Chen and upset him. If that is true, I am willing to apologize for Jiang Yan. But little Chen, he asked me to invite Jiang Yan to the house. Fourth sister, do you think little Chen is trying to cause me trouble? Mu Yuwei frowned deeply. She clearly found my behavior strange as well. After thinking it over, she said, "It is fine. I have nothing else to do anyway. I will stay home then. I will not let him do anything reckless." Mu Chen fell silent for a moment. Fourth sister, can we just let this go? Little Chen is my brother too. Jiang Yan is my good friend. I do not want them to have a conflict. Mu Yuwei scratched her head. Little Xuan, you know the situation at home now. If he wants to invite your friend over, Mom and Dad will definitely agree. Not only will they agree, they will be happy about it. There is simply no reason to refuse. If she objected, her mother would surely give her another beating. Seeing Mu Zhuan's disappointed face, Mu Yuwei patted her chest and promised, "Do not worry, I will keep an eye on him then. I will never let him bully Jiang Yan." With things said this far, Mu Chen had no other choice. He had another reason for wanting to stop it. He felt an unexplainable unease. He trusted his instincts, but he could not stop it. He could only think of another way. Overall, tonight's banquet welcoming me back into the family had been a great success. Although old Madame Mu had seemed less than enthusiastic, she was not foolish enough to do anything inappropriate at such an event. The entire evening passed peacefully. All the guests enjoyed themselves. I had always been free since returning to the Mu family. That was true in every respect. Peizuru and Father Mu had never demanded that I act a certain way. They only told me that now I was home, I should do whatever made me comfortable. I slept until I woke naturally every day. There was nothing to do if I got up early anyway. Besides, I stayed up online every night, trying to understand this world. So it was only natural that I went to bed late. No one in the Mu family ever criticized me for it. But I forgot there were a few more people here now, and they did not seem to like me much. The moment I came downstairs that morning, someone reprimanded me. "All the elders are already up, while you slept until now." When old Madame Mu saw me come downstairs, she rolled her eyes and shot me a sit-along glare. She said with clear displeasure, "Look at our little Xuan. He got up early to help prepare breakfast. You should learn from little Xuan in that regard. At least show some filial devotion to your elders." Peizuru was unhappy the moment she heard that. "Mom, there is nothing at home that needs their help. The children can sleep as long as they want. Besides, it is not even late. Fourth sister is not up yet either. And besides, filial devotion is not measured by when one wakes up." Peizuru instinctively defended her son, not realizing that by defending him, her words had hurt Mu Chen. Was she not implying that he deliberately rose early to make breakfast and win everyone over? I was unmoved. I leisurely took my seat, then looked at Mu Chen as though I had just realized something. I have been back for quite a while now, but I do not think I have ever eaten a breakfast you made. Do you make too little, so everyone finishes it, without saving any for me? I see you wake up later than I do every day. So, you get up first to make breakfast, then go back to sleep afterward. Mu Chuan's face flushed with embarrassment. After I returned, he felt uncomfortable and awkwardly tried to avoid me. That was why he always got up late. And since it was vacation, apart from coming downstairs for meals, he spent nearly all his time in his room. As for breakfast, the household had servants. He was the young master of the Mu family. How could he possibly cook often? Since Grandma praises you so highly, your breakfast must be delicious. I would like to try it tomorrow, I said with a smile. I did not explicitly demand that Mu Chuan make breakfast, but my meaning could not have been clearer. Old Madame Mu was even more displeased. There are servants in this house. Why are you ordering little Xuan around? I looked at her in confusion. How is that ordering him around? He keeps saying he is my older brother. As an older brother, what is wrong with making breakfast for his younger brother? Besides, I only suggested it because I want to show Grandma some filial devotion. Everyone at the table except Peizuru looked as if they were listening to my nonsense. My expression was utterly sincere. Cooking skills come from practice. How could anyone cook well without practicing? If he prepares breakfast for Grandma without sufficient skill, what if something goes wrong? Grandma is so elderly. Her body cannot take that kind of strain. As I spoke, I sighed again, looking utterly selfless. I am different. I am young. I have suffered so much before. So I am used to hardship. I can be his practice run, his little guinea pig. Even Peizuru's rosy view of me shattered this time. How could little Chen say something so shameless, without even changing his expression? Mu Chuan was nearly reduced to tears by my barbs. Lu Manqi furrowed her brows tightly. You child, you are far too strong-willed. Your grandmother only said one thing to you, and you talked back 10 times over. Are you not afraid of upsetting her? And as for little Xuan, you turned a perfectly good thing into something ugly. She looked at me with open disapproval. I know you are resentful. You think little Xuan enjoyed a privileged life all these years, and took what should have been yours. But little Xuan was only a baby back then. What could he possibly have known? He is just as innocent as you are. Why must you target him? Little Xuan is gentle by nature. When he says he sees you as his younger brother, he truly means it. Would it not be nice to have another older brother who cares for you? Why make things difficult? She shook her head, her face full of disappointment. Peizuru was furious inside. She forcibly held herself back from lashing out, but her face had visibly darkened. Sister-in-law, you have misunderstood. Little Chen is not targeting anyone. He is simply too blunt by nature. He does not know how to soften his words. He truly means no harm. Exactly. How could I possibly mean any harm? I was not targeting him either. I treat him better than I treat fourth sister. Ask her if you do not believe me. I know he is innocent too. That is why I did not ask Mom and Dad to throw him out. I let him remain the Mu family's young master. Is that not enough? My own kindness is enough to move me to tears. You will never find anyone more generous than me. My face was the picture of innocent sincerity. I have gone this far, and Annie still thinks I am bullying him. Do you want me to give him my identity too? Should I give him my biological parents as well? I deliberately emphasized the words biological parents. Lu Manqi was left utterly speechless. What else could she say? Perhaps my expression was too convincing, that even Lu Manqi could not tell whether I had said it deliberately or not. Old Madame Mu was equally choked up. She instinctively wanted to pull rank as an elder, but I gave her no chance to speak. You are worried that I will bully Mu Chuan too. Mom and Dad say everyone loves him dearly. How about this? Let him live with Grandma from now on. He is not a child anymore, so he does not need constant care. Living with Grandma will let him be more devoted to her, and make her breakfast every day. I tilted my head, pretending to be adorable. That way, he can honor Grandma, and no one will have to worry about me bullying him. It solves two problems at once. The entire table fell silent. Old Madame Mu and Lu Manqi glared at me. Peizuru did not know what expression to wear. As for Mu Chuan, of course, he was afraid. Little Chen, please stop. Grandma and Annie did not mean that. They are just too worried about me, but I have not suffered any injustice. Mom, Dad, and my sisters still treat me just as well. Of course, you have not bullied me either. Do not take Grandma and Annie's words to heart. If he moved in with Grandma, what would that make him? Would his position not become even more awkward? He is a son of the Mu family. He always will be. He looked pleadingly at the two elders. The two women truly did care for him. For his sake, they forcibly swallowed their anger. The atmosphere at the table finally returned to normal, though everyone had lost their appetite. Naturally, that did not include me. I ate with great relish. I even had an extra bowl. The thick millet porridge, with pickled side dishes, was fresh and wonderfully appetizing. Seeing me like that, Mu Chuan felt a blaze of anger burn in his chest. On the third day, once the eldest branch of the family and old Madame Mu had left, I urged Mu Chuan to invite Jiang over. Jiang had wanted to refuse, but remembering the hallway incident, He made up his mind. He arrived at the Mu residence as promised. Peizuru warmly welcomed him. She had Mu Zhuang keep him company. I took my time before showing up. The moment he saw me, the guilty Jiang Yan immediately tensed up. He was thinking how to avoid the Mu family and have a proper talk with me, but I did not play by the rules. I tipped my chin toward Mu Yuwei and Mu Zhuan. Give us some privacy. I have something to discuss with Mr. Jiang. Mu Zhuan's face changed. Jiang Yan was his close friend, yet I was asking him to leave his friend alone with me. Mu Chen, what are you trying to do? If Jiang Yan offended you, just say it clearly. You cannot invite him here just to bully him. I shot Mu Yuwei a disdainful look. If you have nothing better to do, use your brain. It is not there for decoration or to make you look taller. There are for Mu sisters. The other three seem quite smart and know how to read a room. Why is this one so different? Mu Yuwei was livid. She opened her mouth to argue, but I raised my voice and called, Mom. Mu Yuwei flinched and instinctively clamped her mouth shut. Hearing me, Peizuru hurried out. Little Chen, what is it? Mom, I want to take Mu Zhuan's friend to the garden. Is that all right? Peizuru found nothing strange about it. Instead, she smiled and said, Go ahead. The sun is beating down right now. Just do not stay in the sun too long. Mu Zhuang quickly added, I will come too. He was genuinely worried. He was certain I had an ulterior motive. I was not about to spare anyone's feelings. I refused outright. No need. We will be right back. You should stay and keep her company. I glanced at Mu Yuwei and said sarcastically, She stayed home especially to make sure nobody bullies you. With that, I turned and left. I was not worried that Jiang Yan would refuse to follow. Mu Yuwei looked embarrassed and became more convinced her biological brother was deeply calculating. Just listen to what he had said. Was he not poisoning Mom against her? He implied she suspected him of bullying little Xuan, which was why she stayed home. What a schemer. What do you want with me? Jiang Yan watched me warily. Without waiting for my reply, he quickly continued, I do not know what you want. I did not offend you in the hallway that day. Is it because I glared at you once? I cut him off. What is your connection to the woman who fell? Did you meet before the incident? Or perhaps? I slowly turned around and tilted my head. My clear eyes seemed to see through everything. The truth is, this has everything to do with all of you. It was not me. Jiang Yan's face changed drastically. He denied it in a shrill voice, but his eyes could not hide the fear and panic within. Whether I am talking nonsense, you know better than anyone. That was an accident someone covered up. She lost her life after being dragged into it. What if I reported this to the police? Jiang Yan's words had already revealed a crucial detail. I spread my hands. Why would I need evidence? All I need to do is say the word, and someone will naturally find the evidence. I wonder, Mr. Jiang, if news of this would damage your reputation. You are threatening me. Do not think being the young master makes me afraid of you. Compared to little Xuan, you are nothing. Do you think you can replace little Xuan? Dream on. Little Xuan has lived with the Mu family for over a decade. You cannot compare to the bond he shares with them. I looked at him strangely. Why would I compare myself to Mu Zhuan? He is the adopted son. I am their biological son. Why would a biological son replace an adopted one? It is not like there is something wrong with my brain. And let me correct you. I am not threatening you. I am reminding you. If you do not want anyone to know, do not do it in the first place. That was a living, breathing human life. Do you think closing the case makes everything disappear? After saying that pointedly, I turned and walked away. I had only questioned him to save time. Even if I said nothing, once that girl's resentment grew strong enough, my identity would bring her to my door. Jiang Yan did not take my words to heart. Mu Zhuan wanted to ask what I had said, to make Jiang Yan storm off in anger, and whether I really bullied him. But seeing my expression, he felt that if he asked, I would shame him into crawling into a crack in the floor. I was still wondering how long it would take to blow up, but it happened far faster than expected. When I saw the uproar online, it seemed perfectly natural. I had learned plenty from watching television. Everything moves fast in this society. Once something reaches the internet, it works better than any publicity. This truly was the fastest way. Perhaps because she had witnessed the incident at the mall. Peizuru sighed as she watched the news. She had thought it was a simple accident. She never expected it to turn into this. If it was as her parents claimed, then it was truly heartbreaking. The girl who fell was only 25. She was so young. She was reportedly an only child. And just like that, she was gone. No wonder her parents could not accept it. They were determined to make the matter public. If her own son had died without answers, she would go mad too. At that thought, Peizuru quietly reassured herself. She had only just found little Chen. They still had many years ahead of them. Mother and son had plenty of time together. The deceased girl's parents told the media that their daughter had been sweet and quiet, with few friends and an ordinary family background. She was not someone who spent lavishly. Unlike others her age who loved shopping, she rarely bought things for herself. She gave them all the money she earned for household expenses, keeping none for herself. Her life was just work and home. Yet she fell at a high-end mall, a place she could never afford. She had acted unusually before leaving that day, but they had not thought much of it then. They never imagined it would end like this. At first, They believed it was an accident. Only while sorting through her belongings did they uncover a secret. Their daughter had suffered unfair treatment, so they suspected her cause of death was not an accident. They wanted truth and justice. Mu Zhuan's eyes darted evasively. He could not look directly at the parents on television. His hands were clasped on his knees, rubbing against each other. His face had gone unnaturally pale. I noticed his face change when he saw the news. His expression was very strange. Thinking of his connection to Jiang, a thought struck me, and I suddenly spoke. Why are you so flustered? Did you know the deceased? Or have you done something shameful? Mu Zhuan seemed startled. He jerked his head up and glared at me. He snapped back shrilly. Little Chen, what nonsense are you talking about? No matter how unhappy you are with me, you cannot make accusations like that. Peizuru froze for a moment, then jumped at his piercing voice. Little Xuan, do you know that poor girl? Could she be related to one of your classmates? That was not impossible. Little Xuan attends a private high school. The tuition was expensive. Every year, the school admitted exceptional students. Most of them came from ordinary families. They could not afford tuition, but their grades were excellent. She might be a classmate's relative. Mu Zhuan's face changed slightly again. If you have nothing to hide, why can you not say it? You and Mr. Jiang are both acting strangely. The moment this comes up, you act evasive and guilty. It is practically written on your faces that you are both involved. You have seen the news. This has already become a major scandal. It will be easy to uncover the truth. You may as well explain it now. So, we can find a solution. Peizuru had not believed it at first, but seeing her adopted son's expression, her heart suddenly sank. Little Xuan, Mom, I really did not do it. Mu Zhuan grew anxious. Little Chen may not know what kind of person I am, but do you not know either? Mom, you have raised me for over a decade. Seeing him put on that wrong look again, I wanted to roll my eyes. Stop pretending. You are protesting a little too hard. Even if you did not do it, you must be connected to it. I wanted to see how long they could keep this up. I got up and went upstairs. Mu Zhuan's face turned red, then green. He was so furious that tears spilled from his eyes. Mom, you saw it too. Ever since little Chen came back, I have given in at every turn. I know I have no right to compete with him, and that I should not compete with him. I want to get along with him too, and honor you and Dad together. But he finds fault with me at every turn. Whatever I do, he criticizes me. Jiang stormed off today, and I do not even know what he did to him. Tell me, Mom, what should I do? Maybe I should move out. I am not an adult yet, but I think I can support myself. You have raised me all these years. You have already shown me immense kindness. I cannot ask for anything more. It was as though he wanted to pour out all his fear and worry, his grievances and resentment. He covered his face and wept bitterly. Peizuru's heart ached as she watched him. Both boys were precious to her. Little Chen was her biological son, so of course she loved him. But little Xuan had been by her side for over a decade. Though not biologically hers, he felt like her own. She was not foolish enough to expect them to truly love each other. As long as they could live in peace, that was enough. Besides, little Chen had said he did not mind letting little Xuan stay. Still, little Chen really was too blunt. He did not know how to soften his words. His family could tolerate it at home, but what would he do out in the world? As she thought, her mind wandered off track. Mu Zhuan kept crying without receiving any comfort. Choking back a sob, he looked up. He became even more upset. Mom was actually distracted at a time like this. Now, he was truly hurt. The moment I returned to my room, I sensed something unusual. With a wave of my small hand, I set up a barrier. Come out. After a while, a blurred figure appeared. It drifted out, trembling. The moment my gaze swept over her, she immediately shrank into the corner. She was already a ghost, yet still so timid. No wonder those rich brats bullied her. I seriously doubted someone this timid would be any more capable as a ghost. What could she possibly do? Could she really trigger a fated opportunity? I had serious doubts. How did you find this place? Speak, or I will throw you out. The figure panicked and hurriedly said, I am Wen Yimo. A few days ago, I had an accident at the mall. Her voice dropped as she said it. It took her many days to accept the truth. It was unbelievable. Yet she had no choice but to accept it. The day I fell, I knew I would not survive. Even if I had lived, I would have been badly injured. My family could not afford the medical bills. Maybe it was better to die outright. For a moment, she did not know whether to feel relieved or resentful. So, what do you want to do? Get revenge? Wen Yimo froze. Revenge? I can still get revenge. If you do not want revenge, why did you come to me? You would not linger in the human world if you did not want revenge. I cannot leave my parents behind. I am sure you have seen your parents. You were their only daughter. Now you are gone. Just like that. They will not let this go. They look ready to fight to the death. When Yimo was silent for a long time before murmuring, they cannot fight those people. Her voice trembled faintly. I thought I understood. It was not that she did not hate them or want revenge. She had simply been bullied for too long. The trauma had been branded into her soul. Even as a ghost, she was still afraid of people. It showed just how deeply she had suffered beneath the oppression that power brings. Can you help me? I know you are different. You can help me. Cannot you? She suddenly looked up at me pleadingly. She did not know who the boy before her was, or why he could see her. Yet he could see her without the slightest fear. He had to be special. She felt an unseen force drawing her to him. So, surely he could help her, right? I smiled faintly. How do you want me to help you? That question stumped her. Yes. How should he help her? She had no idea herself. So how could she ask someone else? Did she not hate them? Of course she did. Her fall from that building had not been an accident at all. It was a conflict that had been covered up. When it happened, beyond terror and despair, she felt deep resentment. Why did they treat her like this? She could not stand seeing spoiled rich kids bully someone. So she stepped in, stopped them, and scolded them. Why did it end with her wrongful death? She worked at a milk tea shop. Several rich brats often came in for drinks. Later, they started making trouble in the shop. She tried to stop them, only to be insulted and threatened. Furious, she deliberately said she had recorded them. If they continued, she would expose them online. Only then did they back off and stop bullying people. She thought it was just a minor incident. She never imagined she had provoked demons. From then on, they began taking revenge on her. At school, they deliberately isolated and excluded her. They enlisted others to spread rumors, slander her, and humiliate her. When she tried to quit, they threatened her boss. They found her address and harassed her parents. They stuffed her desk full of trash. They repeatedly destroyed her study materials. She thought she only had to endure until they grew bored. She never expected it would cost her life. Afterward, it was dismissed as an accidental fall. The truth was buried and ignored. Remembering it all, her resentment surged. The air in the room began to stir. The curtains moved, and the lampshade tassels swayed. They rattled and rustled loudly. I want them to taste this suffering. I want them to get what they deserve. I rested my chin on my hand. What they deserve. Send them to prison? That would not be difficult. The hatred in Wen Yimo's heart was awakened. Her timidity vanished, replaced by chilling coldness. Her face twisted slightly. Prison. Their families will never let them go to prison. Even if they do, it will not be for long. My life, in exchange for only a few years behind bars. Was my life worth so little? She would not accept that. Then what if they paid with their lives? I said it lightly, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. Wen Yimo froze for a moment. The seething resentment around her faltered. If that is possible, it would be best. But, can you do it? She asked cautiously. If that is possible, it would be best. Why should she be gone, while they live as if nothing happened? Was she supposed to have died for nothing? Law and justice might not make up for anything. I smiled faintly. Of course I can. Delight burst from Wen Yimo's eyes. Can you really help me get revenge? If I avenge you, can you leave in peace? She nodded, then hesitated. Her face was filled with loneliness and sorrow. I can let go of my hatred, but I cannot let go of my parents. I am their only child. After thinking it over, I said, your parents are not that old. Perhaps they can have another child. She never expected to hear that. Thinking of her parents' ages, she realized it was indeed possible. If so, she could finally rest easy. Then, when will you avenge me? What price must I pay? My eyes flickered. I smiled meaningfully and said, do not worry. I will not help you for nothing, but I will not ask for more than you can bear. We will discuss payment when this is over. I am no ordinary person. Naturally, I do not want ordinary things. Wen Yimo nodded without hesitation. Then wait for now. This requires the right moment. She nodded, then remembered something and anxiously asked, can you protect my parents? I am from the underworld, not some god in heaven. I handle the affairs of the dead, not the living. When I fell silent, her eyes reddened. If you cannot, forget it. Seeing how pitiful she looked, I said, do not worry. Your parents should be safe. This matter has already become quite serious. If anything happens now, it will spiral out of control. Mom, I am going out for a while, I told Peizuru. Peizuru paused. Going out? Where are you going? I will have the driver take you. No need. I will take a taxi. It would be inconvenient with the driver tagging along. But little Chen has not gone out alone since he came back. He is not familiar with Haishi either. What if he goes out alone and gets lost? I saw her concern. Mom, it is fine. I know the way. Besides, I can just give the taxi driver the address. There is nothing to worry about. That still will not do. There are too many bad people outside these days. How about this? I will have your fourth sister go with you. Go ahead and take care of whatever you need. Your fourth sister can run errands for you, too. She quickly had someone wake Mu Yuwei, who was still sleeping in. The moment Mu Yuwei heard her mother, she exploded. Mom, I am his sister, not his little sidekick. If you are worried about him, just have the driver go with him. Why do I have to go out with him? I will not go. As she protested, she shot me a glare. I gave her a sidelong glance. My expression was full of disdain. Do you think I want you following me? Mom is worried. She insists you come along. Mom, look at him. Furious, Mu Yuwei pointed at me. Peizuru swatted her pointing hand aside. You are going, whether you like it or not. You said yourself that you are little Chen's sister. All you have to do is accompany your brother while he handles something. And you have this many objections. What exactly are you trying to do? Peizuru's face darkened. She stared at her sternly. That look cowed Mu Yuwei. Her defiance immediately faded. It is settled. Hurry and eat breakfast. Little Chen is about to leave. Tears in her eyes. She went to get ready. Where exactly are you going? In the car. Mu Yuwei asked with a dark expression. There was free labor available. Might as well use it. Without a shred of guilt, I ordered. Drive straight ahead. I will tell you where to go. I was treating her exactly like a chauffeur. Mu Yuwei was furious, but there was nothing she could do. She drove all over, following my directions. The places grew more unfamiliar, and the roads grew narrower. Even she was completely baffled. She had lived in Haishi for years, yet never knew a place like this existed there. Following my directions, Mu Yuwei obediently parked the car. She stopped outside a rundown complex. From the driver's seat, she looked outside, filled with deep confusion. All right, wait for me here. I got out and slammed the door. After tossing out those words, I left. I gave Mu Yuwei no chance to question me. She had wanted to ask what I was doing, but my attitude was infuriating. In a fit of anger, she decided not to care. I entered the complex without issue. Without stopping, I headed straight for one of the buildings. The old complex had poor landscaping. Its exterior walls were badly stained and peeling. There was not even an elevator. The stairwell showed the same decay. I climbed upward until I reached the 4th floor. Then I turned left. On the 4th floor, I faintly heard weeping. Just as I expected, it came from the Wen family home. Standing outside the Wen's door, I reached out and knocked. I needed to get an assistant by my side soon. I am the esteemed young lord of Wangsi City. How had I fallen so low that I handled everything myself? It did not suit my status as young lord. The sounds inside stopped. Then footsteps approached. Soon, a voice asked from behind the door. Who is it? I am Wen Yimo's friend. The room fell quiet for a moment. Then the door opened a crack. Someone peered at me through the gap. Seeing how young I was, they relaxed slightly. Are you Xiaomo's co-worker? I nodded. Only then did the person inside open the door and let me in. Once inside, I did not waste words. I know Wen Yimo was murdered. Wen Yimo's parents were not old, but they had aged quickly after what happened to their daughter. Their hair had once been pitch black, but now it was streaked with silver. The lines on their faces had deepened too. Their eyes brimmed with grief and pain, along with suppressed hatred. How do you know? How do you know Xiaomo was murdered? Do you know something? Tell us. Quickly. Mrs. Wen had been listless, but my words instantly stirred her up. She grabbed my hand. I can see Wen Yimo, and I can help you. Mr. and Mrs. Wen froze. They did not understand what I meant. Their daughter was already dead. What did he mean? Saying he could see her? To uncover the truth, they had refused to cremate her, leaving their daughter in the morgue. Could this young man have gone to the morgue? That absurd thought crossed the couple's minds. I can see your daughter's soul. I can grant your wish, I said. Mrs. Wen's sobs stopped. She looked at me through her tears, her expression stunned. Their wish was, of course, to expose their daughter's killer and make the murderer pay. No. That was not enough. If all they got was a few years in prison, that would be nowhere near enough. How could a few years in prison make up for the life of their Xiaomo? Whoever killed Xiaomo should pay a terrible price. Intense hatred churned in Mrs. Wen's eyes. Whatever you want, I can make it happen, but you will need to pay a price. I made myself very clear. Besides merit, I also need to gather humankind's deepest love and truest nature, its sincerest truth and goodness, and its greatest compassion and righteousness. The gate of rebirth leads to new life. Life means a beginning. It means hope and joy. Death means an end. It means despair and sorrow. Yet life and death form a cycle. Within that cycle, there is also so much selfishness and greed, hypocrisy and malice. I must gather these things to cleanse resentment and keep it in balance. After hearing me out, Mrs. Wen did not hesitate. No matter what you want, as long as you can truly help us, I will give you anything, even my life. I smiled. It is not that serious. I told them everything I had learned from Wen Yimo, laying it all out before them. I held nothing back. The couple wept in agony once more. Seeing this, I could only sigh softly. Separation by life and death is truly the hardest thing in this world to accept. Still crying, Mrs. Wen suddenly fell to her knees. She bowed hard, striking her head against the floor. I want them to pay. I want them to live with regret for the rest of their lives. Beneath their overwhelming hatred, Mr. and Mrs. Wen were also consumed by guilt and regret. Why had they not noticed something was wrong with their daughter sooner? If they had learned of her plight earlier, they would have helped her quit her job. They could have taken her somewhere else. Mr. Wen fought hard to contain himself, but tears still streamed down his face. He covered his face tightly with one hand, unable to hide his grief and regret. Me too. I want them to pay the price they deserve. I told Mr. and Mrs. Wen to wait for my news, then walked out of the building. Through the window, I saw Mu Yuwei asleep. Her mouth was half open. She was clearly sleeping deeply. The corner of my mouth twitched. And she is supposed to be my sister. I would not even want her as a younger sister. I had planned to tap the window and wake her, but stopped midway. I had been wondering how to shake Mu Yuwei. It was inconvenient to keep her with me. Since she was asleep, I would let her keep sleeping. So I turned away. Mu Yuwei continued snoring away in the car. Wen Yimo's parents' wish was not difficult to grant. With my powers, I could easily act without anyone knowing and teach those people a harsh lesson, but that was not what they truly wanted. So first, I had to expose the truth. Thinking of what Wen Yimo had suffered, even I could not stop myself from sighing. If this did not end well, who would dare do good deeds in the future? What a sorry state the world has become. Society is advancing at breakneck speed, but human nature has not improved with the economy. Instead, it has grown ever more selfish. Perhaps this materialistic society has brought out humanity's ugliest side. I thought of my past. When I was their age, I was already a man who could stand tall on his own. I was ready to build a home and career, ready to support an entire family. My expression stiffened slightly. A flicker of confusion crossed my face. My past? How long had it been since I last thought of it? It had been far too long. I had nearly forgotten. I was not always the young lord. I vaguely remembered that before becoming young lord, I had been an ordinary man in the mortal world. Only after I died did I enter Wangsi City. Too much time had passed. I had forgotten how I came to become the young lord of Wangsi City. The thought flashed through my mind. My form gradually faded away. The pedestrians showed no reaction. Everyone hurried along, and no one noticed the young boy beside them suddenly disappear into thin air. I thought I would finish quickly, but I did not expect it to drag on until late. In the rush, I even forgot about Mu Yuwei. When I was done, I went straight home. The moment I entered, I sensed something was off in the living room. The atmosphere was tense and frozen. Before I could speak, Peizuru hugged me. Her voice was full of worry. "You are finally back. You scared Mom to death. I thought something had happened to you." Father Mu also looked deeply anxious. The moment he saw me, he visibly relaxed. He kept saying, "It is good that you are back. You scared me to death." He thought his son had run off alone. I blinked. A moment later, I realized something, just as I was about to explain. Mu Yuwei, who had been scolded all evening and had worried all day, angrily shouted at me, "Mu Chen, are you out of your mind? Could you not tell us where you were going? Do you know we thought something happened to you? Do you know we searched for you all day?" Her shouting made me shrink my shoulders. I did feel a little guilty. "You shut up." Peizuru held me close, then turned and glared fiercely at her fourth daughter. "You must have upset Xiao Chen." So he left without saying a word. "You are always picking on Xiao Chen. How many times have I told you? Xiao Chen is your real brother. Your own brother." Her mother's unreasonable words made Mu Yuwei feel like she was about to explode. "Mom, can you please be reasonable? I did not do anything today." Mu Yuwei yelled loudly. The two were about to start arguing, so I hurriedly intervened. "Mom, do not be angry. Let me explain. This really is not fourth sister's fault. She truly did not do anything. She did not even argue with me." "Then why did you leave her behind and go off alone? You have not been here long. You are not familiar with the city yet. Without someone with you, you could easily get lost. More importantly, Xiao Chen barely knows how to use a phone. If he got lost, he would not even know how to use navigation." I answered honestly. "I went to handle something. I told fourth sister to wait in the car. When I returned, I saw she had fallen asleep. I thought she must have gotten up too early and had not slept enough. So I thought I would let her sleep a little longer. You would have been better off saying nothing. Is he doing this on purpose?" I paid no attention to her fierce glare. I continued honestly. "Then I left. I thought I would finish quickly and come back. Maybe she would not even be awake by then. I did not expect it to take longer than planned and drag on until now. I did not actually mean to get Mu Yuwei scolded. I never expected things to turn out this way." "Then why did you not answer your phone?" Mu Yuwei pressed on. I reached into my cloth bag and pulled out a phone. I looked it over, completely puzzled. I did not hear it ring. Peizuru was the one who got me this phone. She even reminded me before I left today, but I truly did not hear a sound. Mu Yuwei snatched the phone away. She lit up the screen, then laughed in exasperation. She shoved the phone in my face. "Can you not even read it? Your phone is on silent." I glanced at the phone and blinked innocently. I really do not know how to check it. I have never used a phone before. How was I supposed to know it could be made silent? Mu Yuwei was about to keep going, but Peizuru rapped her sharply with a bent finger. Mu Yuwei clutched her forehead and cried out in pain. "If you had not fallen asleep in the car, would he have been considerate enough not to wake you and gone to handle things himself?" So in the end, This is all your fault. I told you to help him. But what did you do? You slept like a log in the car. Your allowance for this month is forfeited, Peizuru announced flatly. What? You are taking away my allowance? It has only been 3 days this month. Then Peizuru looked at the other children. She warned them, if anyone dares give her money behind my back, I will take away their allowance next month. As for Mu Wanting, she gave her eldest daughter a sit-along glance. If you dare give Yuwei any money, I will arrange a blind date for you immediately. Mu Wanting's expression changed. She quickly answered seriously. Do not worry, Mom. I will not. I will keep an eye on everyone else too, and make sure they do not help fourth sister. Big sister, Mu Yuwei wailed. Mu Wanting looked at her helplessly and pityingly. Fourth sister, do not blame your big sister for being heartless. I am not sacrificing myself for you. Fourth sister, where did you and Xiaocheng go today? Downstairs, Mu Xuan did not dare defy Peizuru. After everyone returned to their rooms, he slipped out again. He went to find Mu Yuwei. After comforting her, he asked, feigning curiosity. The mention of me filled Mu Yuwei with rage. This little brother of hers was practically her curse, like he had come to collect a debt. But when facing Mu Xuan, she patiently told him everything. But where I went afterward, and what I did, she did not know. Mu Xuan frowned, let alone Mu Yuwei. He did not know what kind of place it was either. People like them usually frequented upscale places. Of course, they would never go somewhere so rundown, much less know anything about it. He thought it over with a furrowed brow, but came up with nothing and had to let it go. After returning to his room, for some reason, he could not stop thinking about it. Just then, Jiang called. As they chatted, he remembered his friend visiting the house. He could not help mentioning it to him. To his surprise, Jiang cried out, did he go to Wen Yimo's house? Wen Yimo. The name hit like a blow. Mu Xuan's mind went blank for a moment. His grip on the phone tightened. What was he doing at Wen Yimo's house? He does not even know Wen Yimo. Jiang gritted his teeth. With no other choice, he told him what had happened that day. Mu Xuan sucked in a sharp breath. His hands and feet went weak. He never expected Jiang Yan to have been there that day. Yan, did you? Mu Xuan's throat tightened. The moment he asked, his heart leaped into his throat. His mind began racing. If he was truly involved in this, what would they do? Though he had not been there that day, those acts of bullying had now been exposed by her parents. If they investigated thoroughly, but he soon calmed down. He kept reassuring himself. He had never bullied Wen Yimo. At most, he had only. Mu Xuan quickly reviewed everything he had done. Had he left behind any obvious traces or evidence someone could use against him? Xuan, are you listening to me? Jiang Yan had spoken for ages without hearing a response. He called to him in confusion. Mu Xuan came back to his senses. He steadied himself and said, I am listening. Yan, what are you planning to do about this? When Yimo's parents do not seem willing to let this go, what if they? Jiang Yan quickly cut him off. Nothing will happen. Neither the school nor our parents want this to blow up. At most, they will make a few people step forward, admit their mistakes properly, apologize to them, and pay some compensation. After all, it was those college students who did it, not to mention their parents. The school has its reputation to protect too. Mu Xuan's brow remained tightly furrowed. He had a feeling it was not that simple. As for the mall surveillance footage, Jiang Yan was not worried. He had someone erase it long ago. No one would be able to find it. His father had good connections with everyone at the mall. Erasing the footage only took one phone call. Even without those connections, surely no one would dare offend the Jiang family. What worries me now is whether Mu Chen knows something. That day, completely panicked when I ran into him in the hallway. The way he looked at me. And that day he invited me to your house. The things he said. It was as if he had already reached a conclusion. That was why Jiang Yan had been so uneasy. Even with Mu Xuan, Jiang Yan did not dare say much more. At Jiang Yan's words, Mu Xuan could not help recalling that day, and what I had said to him when we watched the news. His handsome face went pale at once. Maybe Mu Chen really did see who was behind it. Even if Mu Chen did not see clearly who it was, then Mu Chen must have seen them bullying her. If he told anyone about it, at the thought of the consequences, Mu Xuan could no longer sit still. He forced himself to calm down. Yan, Mu Chen may really have seen something. That day, he even asked whether I had been involved in what happened to Wen Yimo, but he does not seem to have told my parents. Hurry and warn the others. Tell them they are on their own. Mu Xuan's words made Jiang Yan panic even more. He hurriedly ended the call. Then he immediately called his usual crowd. Mu Xuan clenched his teeth, thinking of what happened before. He could not help feeling regretful. So what if Wen Yimo helped that poor girl? She could help once, but not forever. Why did they have to keep going after her? He just found the way she stood there. That look on her face, unbearable to watch. As if she were some champion of justice, and they were monsters. That was why he said a few threatening words to intimidate her. He only meant to teach her a lesson, so she would stop meddling in the future. But he never imagined things would spiral into this. The more he thought about it, the more he blamed those people. He had only told them to get a little revenge, but they got carried away. They would not leave Wen Yimo alone. They had simply picked on the weakest person they could find. Now they had picked on the easy target until she finally broke. And Wen Yimo, if she had not claimed she recorded them and threatened to expose them, he would not have acted on impulse. Mu Chen began considering my situation. He thought I might have seen what happened at the mall, but could not possibly know the whole story. Mu Chen cannot even use a phone. What could he possibly know? Wishful thinking met brutal reality. By the third day, the internet was flooded with news. What terrified him even more was this. The surveillance footage that had been deleted was all leaked to the public. Even footage of Wen Yimo being harassed and humiliated before had been dug up. When he came downstairs, I was once again on the sofa. I was staring at the television. The news was covering this very case. The moment he saw those familiar scenes, he nearly stopped breathing. His legs gave way. As Mu Chen's heart raced in terror, Peizuru walked over. Seeing him slumped against the armrest, pale as death, with something clearly wrong, she hurriedly asked, Xuan, what is wrong? Why are you so pale? Are you sick? Her voice drew my attention. I turned to look. My gaze met Mu Chen's panicked eyes. Realizing something, I gave him a knowing smile. Mom is asking you a question. Mu Chen's lips trembled. Mom, I am fine. Peizuru gave him a strange look. Then, seeing the news I was watching, she asked with concern. Chen, you seem very interested in this news. Why is that? I answered bluntly. Did you and Dad not plan to send me to this school? Then I need to learn more about the people and events connected to it. Peizuru stiffened. Only then did she realize something. That is right. Students from this school did something like this. They even dared bully someone outside the school. What might they do to their own classmates? Chen was going to attend a school like that. What if something happened to him? Peizuru did not dare think any further. Ignoring that Father Mu had just gone out, she immediately went to make a call. No, you cannot go to this school. And Xuan, you need to transfer to. At a school like this, they cannot even guarantee your safety. How can you possibly study there? I will transfer you both to another school. Mu Chen was stunned. How had this suddenly turned into transferring schools? He had never considered changing schools. He was already familiar with his current school. His friends and social circle were all there. To suddenly switch schools, and they were halfway through their final year of high school. Changing schools at a time like this. Did she expect them to get into college or not? Mu Chen wanted to say something, but knew he probably could not change his mother's mind. So he turned his gaze to me, hoping I would talk her out of it. As for which school I attended, I did not carry their way, so I did not even spare him a glance. Mu Chen could only watch helplessly as his mother made the call. After footage of the Wen Yimo incident was exposed, all sides acted quickly. The school promptly issued an apology, promising to strengthen students' moral education. The milk tea shop owner wept bitterly as well. Most of the students involved publicly apologized. Tears and mucus streamed down their faces before the cameras. They looked utterly remorseful. In my room, Wen Yimo gritted her teeth, watching those people apologize on screen. They are not sincere at all. They do not think they did anything wrong. I nodded slightly. Yes, most people are not truly admitting fault, let alone feeling remorse. If this had not been exposed, if people online had not reacted so fiercely, demanding answers and condemning them, if public outrage had not grown so great, neither they nor their parents would have apologized. They would not have given it a second thought. She was only an ordinary person, and she was already dead. She was already dead and gone. What else was there to discuss? Others could not see it, but I could see it as they spoke. They appeared remorseful and sincere, yet their eyes held only indifference, even irritation and resentment. Naturally, they resented those forcing them to apologize. How humiliating this was for them. To them, Wen Yimo's life mattered less than their pride. Before her death, Wen Yimo was filled with grief and anger and deep confusion. She truly did not understand. What had she done wrong? Was it wrong to be kind and righteous? She had only tried to help, yet they had ostracized her for no reason. Those people used their powerful families to pressure her, destroying her peaceful life. During that dispute at the mall, she accidentally fell from the upper floor. With one sickening crash, everything ended. Now they claimed they knew they were wrong, begging everyone for another chance. But who would give her a chance? They never gave her one. The more Wen Yimo dwelled on it, the resentment she had suppressed became harder and harder to control. The room's temperature dropped sharply. Eerie gusts swept through, making everything sway wildly. I looked up at the rocking chandelier and quickly soothed her. I will let you vent your anger yourself. As though someone had pressed pause, the disturbance in the room stopped at once. Let me settle the score myself. No, I cannot get near them. Wen Yimo frowned. Of course she wanted revenge herself, but for some reason, she could not get close. She could only watch from afar. Whenever she got too close, something blocked her. Otherwise, she would have torn them apart long ago. Just because you cannot do it does not mean I cannot. They have guilty consciences. A ghost knocking at their door at midnight would not be surprising. I said it calmly. Perhaps they really were haunted by their guilt. After Wen Yimo died, a few of them were genuinely frightened, so they wore protective charms, especially the person who caused her fall. Although he soon stopped taking it seriously, he still felt somewhat guilty. He wore a consecrated jade pendant. Wen Yimo had been gentle and soft-natured in life, she could not become a vengeful spirit the instant she died, so her inability to approach them was not strange at all. But none of that works on me. Wen Yimo instantly brightened, full of energy again. If that is possible, that would be wonderful. But remember one thing, you cannot directly harm anyone. Sometimes death is not revenge, but a release. If you take a life, you will not be able to reincarnate peacefully. I warned her with utmost seriousness. Wen Yimo was a kind person. She had always loved helping others. Yet she suffered such a tragic accident. Had the accident not happened, she would have had a good next life. But if she committed murder, everything would be different. There was no need to let these evil people ruin her chance at a happy next life. Wen Yimo bit her lip, unwilling to accept it. After a moment, she nodded. All right, I will not take their lives. I want them to live in fear. I flicked a glowing talisman into the air. It slowly settled onto Wen Yimo. Then it quickly vanished. Before Wen Yimo could react, she felt something flow into her soul, as if she were instantly filled with strength. Go. Do not rush things. Take it slow. If you encounter something you cannot handle, call my name, and I will come save you. Wen Yimo looked at me, deeply moved. Her eyes immediately brimmed with tears. There are many bad people in this world. They saw she was easy to bully and pressured her for no reason. But there are many good people too, like those online who spoke up for her, and people like me. Though we were strangers, we were still willing to do everything we could to help her, since I had told her she could vent her anger. Wen Yimo did not want to stay another second. She quickly vanished from my room. From her fall to the story's exposure, only a few days had passed. At first, that person had indeed panicked. After all, someone had died, but that panic soon faded, replaced by indifference. People born into privilege, the environment they grow up in, and the education they receive can easily make them develop a warped belief that they are superior to others, and ordinary people are beneath them. There is nothing money cannot solve, and what money cannot solve, power can. Jiang was not the one who caused the fall, but he had participated at the mall that day. In the bullying of Wen Yimo, Jiang had indeed had a difficult few days. He had only just learned the news from Mu Chen before he had time to do anything, and the situation spiraled out of control. Only then did he tell his parents. Naturally, they gave him a harsh scolding. Still, he felt at ease again. His parents had scolded him, but they would never abandon him. With the Jiang family's influence, getting him out of this mess would be effortless. So Jiang was no longer worried. He even thought he could simply transfer schools. There were plenty of good schools in Haishi. He had no fear of having nowhere to study. He sat against the headboard, absorbed in the variety show on his phone. It made him burst into laughter now and then. He did not seem affected by the incident at all. When Yimo floated into his room, this was the scene that greeted her. Her fury surged straight to her head. See, these people do not feel even a shred of remorse. They will never change their ways. People from humbler backgrounds are worth less than cats or dogs in their eyes. When Yimo's rage and resentment reached their peak, the crystal chandelier in Jiang's room immediately began to sway. It flickered several times, giving off a few crackling buzzes, as though it were malfunctioning. Jiang jumped at the sudden disturbance. He looked up at the ceiling chandelier and muttered, "What is going on? Is the light broken?" He watched it for a while. When it returned to normal, he thought nothing more of it, but the moment he returned his attention to his phone, the room lights began flickering again. A faint electrical buzzing filled the air. Still, he did not think much of it. With a pout, he got out of bed and tested the switch. But the moment he did, he broke into a cold sweat. The switch did not work at all. The lights turned off when he had not switched them off. Then they turned on when he had not switched them on. And although his window was shut, it felt as though wind were blowing through the room. He felt a sudden chill. For some reason, when Yimo suddenly came to mind, his face instantly changed. He reflexively turned to open the door and leave. But no matter how hard he tried, the perfectly normal door would not open. Open the door. Someone, hurry. Help me. Someone, please. Jiang could no longer suppress his terror. He screamed at the top of his lungs. His cries were utterly chilling, and it was late at night. Everyone else in the Jiang villa felt their hearts race in fright. They rushed anxiously toward his room. Father Jiang pounded hard on the door from outside. Jiang, what happened? Open the door. What are you doing in there? I cannot open it. There is a ghost. Hurry and save me. Jiang cried out, his voice trembling. He kept pounding on the door. The terror in his voice carried through the door, clear for everyone outside to hear. Nonsense. Calm down. There are no ghosts in this world. Do not scare yourself. Maybe the lock is jammed. Calm down and check it first. I will have someone get the key. As Father Jiang spoke, he exchanged a look with Mother Jiang. Both thought of what had happened recently. Father Jiang's expression darkened. He was both angry at his son and worried for him. He probably had a guilty conscience and had scared himself senseless. Luckily, the Jiangs lived in a detached villa, far from the neighboring homes. Otherwise, with all that screaming, the entire neighborhood would have heard him. A servant quickly brought the key, but no matter how they turned it, the lock would not open. Jiang Yan kept screaming inside the room. Sharp crashing sounds came in waves, like light fixtures shattering. With one final deafening crash, the door that would not open suddenly gave way. The Jiang family hurriedly pushed open the door and rushed inside. They were met with utter chaos. In the once lavishly decorated room, ornaments lay scattered everywhere. The bedside lamp shade hung crookedly. The hanging curtains were a tangled mess. The crystal chandelier had fallen from the ceiling, its shards strewn all over the floor. One corner of the carpet had been flipped up as well. The Jiang family stood frozen in shock. Looking closer, they saw Jiang Yan unconscious behind the door. Cold sweat kept beating on his forehead. Everyone hurriedly carried him away, then urgently summoned a doctor. After examining him, the doctor was puzzled. Young Master Jiang appears to have suffered a terrible shock. Did he experience something frightening? The Jiang family's expressions turned strange. Father Jiang forced a smile. To be honest, we are not quite sure either. He was in his room. We thought he was asleep. Then we heard him screaming, and when we came over, he was already unconscious. What else could they say? That their son had done something shameful, then frightened himself into claiming he saw a ghost? He might have no shame, but the Jiang family did. The doctor did not dwell on it. He is otherwise fine, but the injury on his forehead is serious. I am afraid it may leave a scar. The Jiang family's faces changed at once. Jiang Yan soon woke after the doctor left, but he had clearly been badly frightened. Before he was fully awake, he fell into a terrifying nightmare. No, go away. It was not me. I did not hurt you. I did not push you down. Go away. Do not come after me. His eyes were still tightly shut, but his hands kept flailing desperately. His face was filled with terror and extreme fear. Mother Jiang's face changed when she heard him clearly. Jiang Yan, wake up. It is all right. You are having a nightmare. Wake up. She anxiously patted her son's face, but he did not respond at all. Finally, she steeled herself and slapped him. Only then did he finally wake up. When Jiang Yan opened his eyes and saw his mother, he burst into loud tears. He immediately threw himself into her arms, clutching her clothes tightly, his whole body trembling. Mom, there is a ghost. I saw her. It was Wen Yimo. She came back to settle the score with me. She said I caused her death and demanded my life in return. I told her I did not, but she would not believe me. She tried to strangle me to death. He had never believed ghosts truly existed, but he had clearly seen what happened in the room. It could not be explained by reason, and he had truly seen her, wearing the very clothes from that day. It really was Wen Yimo's ghost. Jiang Yan, you are confused. There are no ghosts in this world. You have frightened yourself. Do not overthink it. You do not need to worry about that matter. Everything will be fine. Our family can handle it. No one can hurt you. Just be good and do not dwell on it. In a few days, this will all blow over. Mother Jiang looked extremely grim. His words had unnerved her too, but she held him steady and comforted him. Perhaps he felt safe in his mother's arms. His emotions gradually calmed. To fully convince him, Mother Jiang half coaxed and half forced him to take a look. The servants had already cleaned the room. It was no longer as chaotic as before. Look, the chandelier was improperly installed and fell. As for what you described, you did not shut the window properly. There was a gap. Did you not notice how strong the wind was? Of course, wind blowing in can move things. And you call yourself an educated person. Mother Jiang chided him, then tapped his forehead. There was not a trace of a flaw on her face. Her expression looked entirely natural. Even Jiang Yan began to waver. He wondered if he had overthought it. Like a frightened bird, scaring himself. Stop scaring yourself. Sleep in the guest room tonight. We will have someone fix things tomorrow. We will not install another crystal chandelier. They are too dangerous. Jiang Yan hesitantly let himself be led back to the guest room. Jiang Yan, what nonsense are you talking about? Did you watch a horror movie? Did it get into your head, making you think there is a ghost? Mu Chen had not expected his friend to summon him here over something so absurd. He saw Wen Yimo's ghost? How could that be possible? After only one night, Jiang Yan looked utterly drained and a little unhinged. He anxiously looked around, then lowered his voice nervously. No, Xuan, it is real. Everything I said is true. I truly saw her ghost last night. She was in my room. She trashed the whole room. She said I hurt her and came to settle the score with me. Later, after I fell asleep, my blanket suddenly floated in midair. I saw it with my own eyes. Jiang Yan's eyes were filled with panic. Speaking of last night made his scalp prickle. After his mother talked him down last night, nothing happened in the guest room for quite some time. So he went to sleep reassured. But while asleep, he began to feel cold. He was clearly covered by a thick down comforter, and Haishi was not even that cold. Eventually, the cold became unbearable and woke him. When he opened his eyes, he saw the blanket that had covered him, floating in midair. He instinctively screamed, but this time, no one came. It was as though something had blocked out his cries. No matter how he shouted, Nobody came. Terrified, he crawled beneath the bed. But it was completely useless. Wen Yimo's voice echoed through the room, as though it came from hell itself. He did not even know how he survived the night. Dark circles ringed Jiang Yan's eyes. His fearful gaze darted around, his body wound tight. The slightest unusual sound made him jump. Mu Chen deeply furrowed his brow. He thought his friend's story was impossible. But Jiang Yan did not look like he was lying. For a moment, Mu Chen did not know what to think. As he hesitated, Jiang Yan fixed him with an eerie stare, then spoke in a low, hollow voice. Xiao Xuan, Wen Yimo came for me and will not let me go. Then she will not let you go either. Mu Zhuan's heart gave a violent thump. He rebuked him in a low voice. Jiang Yan, have you lost your mind? There are no ghosts in this world. Get a grip on yourself. Besides, her accident had nothing to do with you, and even less to do with me. Jiang Yan's expression went dazed. He murmured to himself, that is right. I did not cause her fall. Why would she come after me? That day, he only made a suggestion. He never forced her to do it. If anyone was to blame, it was her for being careless. She was already dead. Why was she still haunting him? The more Jiang Yan thought about it, the more vicious he became. His frantic eyes turned vicious. They held ruthless resolve. Fine, you became a ghost to frighten me. Then I will find someone to banish you. I will scatter your soul, so you cannot even remain a ghost. Once he had a plan. Jiang Yan could not sit still another second. He tossed out a remark and hurried away. But Jiang Yan was being far too optimistic. The Jiangs did not believe him at all. They thought he had serious psychological problems. Mother Jiang could only keep coaxing and comforting him, but she never mentioned hiring someone to perform rites. High society might believe in feng shui and hire masters to range their homes, but only to attract wealth and good fortune. Ghosts were utter nonsense. Just as Jiang Yan grew more anxious, something else terrifying happened. It completely shattered Jiang Yan's sanity and frightened Mu Chen into falling ill as well. The student who led the bullying suddenly became gravely ill. She was rushed to the emergency room overnight. Though she was saved, she suffered a complete mental breakdown. She curled up in her hospital bed all day, muttering hysterically the 3 words, I was wrong. Her parents wept their hearts out. They insisted someone had killed their daughter. They claimed Wen Yimo's parents had done it, but the investigation proved that was impossible. Mr. and Mrs. Wen lived far from their home. Even driving directly took an hour. Besides, they had alibis. They had never been anywhere near the area. There was no sign an outsider had entered the house. The security system was fully intact. Wen Yimo had only been an ordinary working girl, yet her accidental death caused an enormous uproar. It became one of the hottest topics online. It involved power, privilege, and the wealth gap, so public interest grew even fiercer. The wealthy parents involved tried to spend money to bury the trending stories, but they rebounded every time. They climbed even higher and exposed more information. Frightened, the families had no choice but to give up and lie low. So although several days had passed, people online were still discussing it. Now that the student involved had died, the news spread at once. Compared to their pity and sympathy for Wen Yimo, people had no goodwill toward that student. After all, people could see the truth clearly. She had this entirely upon herself. She had indirectly caused Wen Yimo's death. Now it was a life for a life. Why should an apology let her keep living? Exactly. She was so young, yet so cold-blooded. Wen Yimo can finally rest in peace. Wen Yimo wept uncontrollably. I sat quietly beside her and watched her cry. I neither persuaded nor comforted her. All right, your wish has now been fulfilled. It is time to move on. The person who caused your fall was frightened to death. Wen Yimo did not truly harm them. The girl was frightened to death because her guilty conscience haunted her. Those with a clear conscience have nothing to fear. When guilt consumes you, you see ghosts everywhere. It was not good for Wen Yimo to linger in this world too long. She slowly stopped crying. She lifted her face and looked quietly at me. With a pleading expression, she softly asked, "Can I see my parents?" I looked at her and firmly refused. There is no need. Your parents have already made it through the worst. Seeing them again would only reopen their wounds and leave them bleeding all over again. Wen Yimo froze. She lowered her eyes, realizing I was right. But I can let you visit them in a dream. Say goodbye to your parents there. Wen Yimo was overjoyed and deeply grateful. Thank you, I spoke bluntly. We each got what we needed. Wen Yimo knew I had helped her for reward. Just as I said, we each got what we needed. I helped her punish the wicked and release the immense resentment in her heart. Her parents would not have to face the powerful alone, risking retaliation at any moment. She could leave in peace. Mr. and Mrs. Wen slept deeply that night. Since their daughter's accident, it was the first time they had slept so peacefully. In their dream, they saw their daughter. She looked as sweet and well-behaved as she had in life. With a radiant smile, she told them she was leaving. She told them to take good care of themselves. Finally, she said a gifted master had helped her get justice. For some reason, the couple thought of? The little boy who had claimed to be their daughter's friend. They urgently questioned their daughter, but she said nothing. She only smiled and bade them a reluctant farewell. Then she vanished from their dream. Tears slid from the couple's eyes as they slept. They knew their daughter had truly gone this time. Perhaps there truly was a beautiful next life. Their daughter would surely have a good life in the next world. She would grow up safe and sound, making up for every regret of this life. Though their daughter never said so directly, they believed the gifted master she mentioned was the young man who came to their home that day. That meant he was no ordinary person. When the couple awoke, they wondered how to thank him. But I appeared at their home again. The moment they saw me, they tried to kneel. They thanked me for fulfilling their daughter's wish. I reached out and stopped them. Do you remember what I told you? I require payment for helping you. Now it is time for me to claim it. Are you willing to give it? Yes, we are willing. We will give you anything we have. The couple spoke with utter sincerity. I saw kindness in their eyes. I smiled faintly and nodded. Good. Now close your eyes. Silently think of the greatest payment you can offer me. The couple exchanged a glance. Without questions or hesitation, they slowly closed their eyes. Their hearts were filled with devotion. Before long, I watched as a pure golden glow slowly rose above their heads. A satisfied smile touched my lips. This was the spiritual merit they had accumulated. The purer the light, the more genuine their gratitude. They were willing to offer their very best. This was the final payment I sought. I took out an exquisite charm pouch. With a gentle wave of my small hand, the 2 golden lights slipped into the pouch. After tying it shut, I said lightly, all done. I have received your payment. You are both kind people, because you have kind hearts, and have done good deeds to accumulate merit. When Yimo was able to meet me, the couple froze for a moment. Mrs. Wen could not help asking, if that is true, then why did our daughter still? I gazed at her quietly. When Yimo was fated to suffer this calamity, though she died young in this life, because of the good you have done, she can be smoothly reincarnated into an even better family, and as you wish, she will grow up safely, marry, and have children, then live happily and die peacefully in old age. Is that true? Mrs. Wen's eyes brightened slightly. Of course, I never lie. That is good. Mrs. Wen could not stop herself from sobbing. Before leaving, I had wanted to say something, but swallowed the words at the last moment. There was no need to say more. Mr. and Mrs. Wen had spent years doing good deeds and accumulating merit. They had lost a beloved child, but would eventually have another child. When Yimo's passing was painful, but it also meant another kind of new beginning. When I got home, the doctor was just leaving. Seeing the doctor, I raised an eyebrow. Mu Chen was ill and could not get out of bed. They had changed doctors several times with no improvement. The Mu family was frantic with worry. Of course, I was not included. Peizu came downstairs, her brow deeply furrowed. When she saw me, her expression eased slightly. Xiaochen, you're back. Did you take care of what you needed to do? If anything happens, remember to tell Mom. Do not carry it all by yourself. Mom, I have taken care of it. It went smoothly. That is good. Peizu nodded gently, but her eyes remained clouded with worry. Xuan is sick now. Nothing can happen to Xiaochen too. I do not know what is wrong with Xuan. He was fine, then suddenly fell ill. The hospital found nothing wrong. We have changed doctors several times. He has taken medicine and had injections, but he is not improving at all. We are worried sick. Mom, what did the doctors say? Seeing me take the initiative to ask about Mu Chen, Peizu seemed rather pleased. She thought I was cold on the outside, but cared for my brother. The same as before. They say he is troubled at heart. But how could that be? What could a child like Xuan be so troubled over? Troubled enough to become seriously ill? I think every one of those doctors is simply incompetent. If this had happened when Xuan first learned the truth about his birth, I might have believed it. But over a month has passed. He had been perfectly fine before. So this sudden illness clearly cannot be because of that. Yet Xuan cannot explain it either. I gave a meaningful smile. Perhaps the doctors are not wrong. Maybe something is weighing on his mind. As they say, a troubled heart needs its own cure. Peizu froze. A troubled heart. But what could be troubling Xuan? I smiled with perfect innocence. Then you should ask what he has done. Peizu looked at her son suspiciously. Xiaochen, do you know something? It was not that I wanted to concern myself with Mu Chen. Whatever happened to him had nothing to do with me. But with him bedridden at home, the whole household was in chaos. Mom and Dad were beside themselves with worry. Look at Mom's well-cared-for eyes. Worry had even brought out fine lines. After a pause, I spoke softly. Mom, have you seen the news online about what happened at the mall? Of course, Peizu remembered it. She had followed its developments closely. After all, it had caused quite a stir. But had it not already been resolved? That girl had accidentally fallen. After the culprit died of fright, the mall surveillance footage was released. Public opinion was in an uproar. She knew that child's parents as well. They were not close, but she never expected this. Even their company had been affected. She heard they were preparing to move away. Once she learned the details, She could only sigh. But what did that have to do with Xuan? I said casually. Jiang Yan is worse off than Mu Chen now. He spends every day shouting that he has seen the female employee's ghost. That day at the mall, Jiang Yan was there too. He was just lucky enough to stay in the back, so the cameras barely caught him. So after that classmate died, he was scared half to death himself. Pei Ziru's heart jolted. Once she understood, her eyes widened in shock. Her face was filled with disbelief. I never directly said Mu Chen was involved, but Pei Ziru could draw her own conclusions. Jiang Yan and Mu Chen were very close friends. They attended the same school and the same class. Could Mu Chen truly not know about the terrible things Jiang Yan had done? How could that be possible? Pei Ziru clearly understood that too. Her expression immediately darkened. I left it at that and said no more. That evening, after Father Mu returned from work, Pei Ziru told him about it. He was stunned when he heard. After all, in his long-held impression, Xuan had always been sweet and sensible. How could he have done such a thing? But recalling his strange behavior these past few days, Father Mu's heart sank. The two went to Mu Zhuan's room. When he saw them enter, Mu Zhuan forced himself to sit up in bed. Mom, Dad, what brings you here? Is something wrong? Mu Zhuan was in terrible condition. His face was unnaturally pale. His eyes were bloodshot. Exhaustion filled his gaze as he struggled to hold himself together. He did not look like someone ill for only a few days. He looked as if he had been sick for a very long time. Father Mu sat down, his expression grim. He fixed Mu Zhuan with a stern gaze. Xuan, we have something to ask you. Answer honestly. Mu Zhuan was taken aback. Instinctively, he glanced at Pei Ziru. Her expression was just as serious, confused and uneasy. He panicked slightly, but still nodded. Okay. Ask, were you involved in that incident? Father Mu asked bluntly. The question caught Mu Zhuan completely off guard, because it came so suddenly. Mu Zhuan had no time to hide his expression. Both of them saw it clearly. The look on his face said it all. Deep disappointment filled their eyes. The sweet, kind son they knew was actually like this in private. They were profoundly disappointed. They did not remember teaching him to act this way. Pei Ziru was devastated and heartbroken. She had never been careless about his upbringing. She regularly asked after every aspect of his life. Whenever things happened, she used them as teaching moments to instill proper values and morals. Unlike many wealthy families, she had not left everything to private tutors. But why would Xuan do such a thing? Why had he ostracized a classmate? Even after adults found out, he refused to admit fault, ultimately causing the accident. Meeting their disappointed eyes, Mu Zhuan knew he could no longer hide the truth. The anxiety weighing on him for days, along with his fear and dread, erupted all at once. He burst into loud sobs. Soon, he was crying so hard he could barely breathe. Between sobs, he tried to defend himself. Dad, Mom, I let you down. I truly know I was wrong. I never thought it would turn out this way. I never did anything to Miss Wen. I did not know this would happen to her. You claim you did not know. Father Mu was too furious for words. You did not know whether something so wrong should be done? Are you some ignorant 3-year-old? You are already 17. You have received more than a decade of schooling. Do you not even have a basic moral compass? Why on earth did you do this? You act sweet and sensible in front of us. Was it all an act? Why did you ostracize someone else? Mu Zhuan bit his lip, his eyes darting. He hesitated, afraid to reveal what was in his heart. He knew his jealousy was wrong, but he simply could not control it. Ever since childhood, he had always excelled. He had always been the brightest person in the crowd, the moon surrounded by countless stars. But that classmate had stolen his spotlight and taken away his first-place position. You still will not tell the truth. Pei Ziru shouted sharply in anger. Mu Zhuan began trembling all over. His pale lips quivered. Ashamed, he finally confessed the reason. His voice grew softer and softer as he spoke. Pei Ziru wished she could faint. What was she even hearing? Just because someone else was better than him, he had become jealous. He had encouraged his friends to ostracize her. When they were discovered, he did not correct his wrongdoing. He even used his family's influence to threaten her. He was jealous of her better grades. Why could he not work hard and surpass her? Why choose such underhanded ways to hurt someone? She stared at Mu Zhuan in shocked disbelief. This son of hers felt like a stranger. Had she not understood him well enough? Or had she never understood him at all? She could not help deeply questioning herself. Pei Ziru's gaze frightened Mu Zhuan. He threw himself into her arms, clinging tightly to her waist. He cried out, Mom, I am sorry. I truly did not mean to do it. I did not know it would become this bad. At first, I only wanted to humiliate her. I never meant to hurt anyone. Really, I had nothing to do with what they did afterward. I truly was not involved. I did not know about what happened at the mall that day either. Jiang Yan never told me. He only told me after the incident blew up. That was when I found out. If I had been there, I would have stopped them. I did not want to hurt anyone. Dad, I truly know I was wrong. I never thought things would turn out this way. I will never dare do it again. I will never be jealous of others again. I will work hard to become better. Mom, Dad, please believe me. Mu Xuan's voice was urgent and pleading. He was not a biological child of the Mu family. He was only their adopted son now. He could not let his parents lose all faith in him. If they were disappointed in him, would they stop wanting him? Would they heartlessly send him away? Where else could he go? Mu Xuan had already been terrified and anxious. The classmates involved in the incident had suffered strange misfortunes. The person chiefly responsible for the fall had died of fright. His nerves were stretched to the limit. His mind had reached its breaking point. Now Father Mu and Peizuru knew the truth. Thoughts of being thrown out kept flashing through his mind. Regret, terror, fear, anxiety, and despair all surged into his heart at once. He had not rested properly for days. In his panic, he could not catch his breath and fainted. The Mu household descended into chaos again. Everyone rushed to Mu Xuan's room. I was the only one who did not show up. Mu Yuwei grumbled a few angry remarks. Peizuru heard every word. She was already furious over the whole matter. Hearing her second daughter criticize her eldest son for Mu Xuan's sake made her anger flare at once. She rebuked her harshly. Why are you always picking on Xiaochen? He is your biological brother, not your enemy. And besides, is Xiaochen a doctor? What difference does it make whether he comes or not? Peizuru was actually a tolerant mother. She usually acted like she was about to discipline the children, but everyone knew she was only bluffing. She rarely scolded them this harshly, so Mu Yuwei was stunned by the scolding. Mu Wanning and the twins had just returned. They exchanged looks. The same question arose in all their minds. Had something happened at home that they did not know about? The Mu sisters sensed that something was off. They had only suspected something had happened before, but now they were practically certain. I was the only one unaffected. I carried on as usual. I spent every day glued to television. They had planned to hire me a private tutor, but that matter had been put on hold. Everyone else still had mountains of homework, other than watching television every day. Only meals could get me off the couch. Xiaochen, you've been sitting around at home all day. Has something happened in the family? I've been busy at the company, so sometimes I overlook things at home. If anything happens here, remember to tell me. Mu Wanning was rarely home for a break, yet she had still spent half the day working in her study. Only then did she come downstairs and find me watching television. After a pause, she came over and sat beside me. I did not even take my eyes off the television. Nothing is wrong at home. Everything is fine. Really, nothing is wrong. Mom and Dad have seemed troubled these past few days. Is it because of your schooling? Since I would not tell her, she could only probe on her own. I had been back with the Mu family for over a month, yet Mu Wanning was still unfamiliar with her brother. Hearing that, I finally spared her a glance, though there was something odd about my look. Why assume it has something to do with me? You think that if something happened at home, it must be because of me. That is not what I meant. I know you are very well behaved. No, I am not well behaved. Mu Wanning suddenly felt exhausted. If you want to know, ask Mom and Dad. I do not want someone to badmouth me later and say I tried to drive a wedge between you. I turned my attention back to television. Mu Wanning raised an eyebrow. Why did those words sound so strange? Had Xiao Zhuan remembered what happened 2 nights ago? Mu Wanning could not help frowning. Before she had a chance to ask me, the new year arrived. The atmosphere in the Mu household gradually eased. Mu Xuan recovered after being sick for several days, but he had become much quieter. This was my first New Year since returning to the Mu family. Father Mu and Peizuru both attached great importance to it. They had begun preparations early. The carefully arranged decorations and the dishes prepared for New Year's Eve dinner had all been chosen with great care. Everything revolved around me. As for everyone else in the family, they had celebrated so many New Years already. So what if this year was for Xiaochen? Was that not only natural? By New Year's Eve, the house was lively. The earlier gloom seemed never to have existed. Father Mu and Peizuru's attitude toward Mu Xuan had not changed either. The two had spoken with him once after that day and never brought it up again. It was my first time celebrating the new year in the human world. Everything felt wonderfully new to me. I became very happy as well. There were more smiles on my face, and even my temper seemed much better. I did not even snap at Mu Yuwei. That delighted Peizuru and Father Mu. After the new year, the family prepared to return to the capital. The Mu family's roots were in the capital, and old Madame Mu lived there as well. As old Madame Mu's son, Father Mu naturally had to take the children to pay their New Year respects. Otherwise, people might find fault with it. Normally, the two households spent New Year's Eve separately. Unless there was a special occasion, they would gather in the capital for a reunion dinner. Besides, I had only just returned. They should take me to the capital to meet the relatives. Besides the 3 Mu siblings, there were other branch relatives in the Mu family, and they were still in contact. On the second day of the new year, the family packed up and left. They took the family private jet back to the capital. It was my first time on a plane, so I was fascinated. I pressed myself against the window, eagerly staring outside. Peizuru found it utterly amusing. Mu Yuwei opened her mouth to mock me, but Peizuru shot her a look. She wisely shut her mouth at once. Once we reached the capital, the Mu family had someone waiting to pick us up. We got in the car and headed straight for the Mu family's old residence. Before we left, Peizuru explained the complicated relationships here to me. I merely nodded as I listened. I did not waste any words. When we arrived before the Mu family's old residence, I habitually surveyed the surroundings. The Mu family had stood in the capital for over a century. Naturally, their ancestral home had been renovated repeatedly, gradually becoming what it was today. It was not the European-style villa favored by the wealthy, but a traditional Chinese-style residence, a grand square courtyard estate. Its rich history was visible everywhere. Generations of the Mu family had maintained it beautifully. I heard they had hired a feng shui master to choose the site and oversee its construction. Before the family head of that era died, he left a will, forbidding his descendants from altering the ancestral home's layout, not to tamper with its foundations, and never to sell the old residence. Any renovations could only be made upon the existing foundation. Anyone who defied this would lose their inheritance rights. Because of that rule, strictly speaking, the ancestral home had barely changed. Only the structures above ground had changed. I could tell the ancestral home truly blessed its descendants. The fortune it had amassed over so many years formed a faint purple aura above the residence. Yet it also showed signs of decline, foretelling that the home's protection was fading. It seemed no one had touched the ancestral home. Then the problem could only lie with its descendants. The corner of my mouth curled slightly. Now this was interesting. Happy New Year. The first words exchanged after we entered were, Happy New Year. Father Mu's family was not the only one there that day. The eldest aunt, who had married out, had brought her family too. Oh, this must be Xuan. I am sorry. There was a family matter last time, so I could not go to hiking. Do not blame your aunt. Mu Xuan noticed me at once. I was an unfamiliar face standing beside Peizuru. I could only be the son her third brother had found again. Hello, Auntie. I am Mu Chen. I put on an obedient expression. Mu Xuan looked at me with a smile. Her eyes discreetly assessed me. You look so much like your parents. I am their son. Of course, I look like them. Mu Xuan's smile seemed to falter. She casually replied, That is true. So this is the cousin raised in a Taoist temple deep in the mountains. He looks terribly rustic. Nothing like the Mu family's eldest young master. A boy about my age jumped right to Mu Xuan's side. His gaze landed squarely on me, blatantly rude, his voice dripped with undisguised contempt. Peizuru's expression darkened at once. Mu Xuan quickly pulled her son back, giving him a token, mild rebuke. Watch your mouth. I looked at him with even greater disdain, carefully sweeping my gaze over him from head to toe. You grew up at your parents' side, pampered and well provided for, yet judging by your manners seem inferior even to mine. Mu Xuan and her son's expressions changed. Siji was so angry his face turned red. He had never expected me to defy convention like this. Wouldn't most people swallow this sort of insult? How could he talk back in public? Peizuru was delighted inside, but outwardly copied Mu Xuan's earlier manner. You child, watch your mouth. With a blank face, I calmly replied. I was copying him. I thought all young masters in the capital spoke like that. Mu Yuwei struggled hard to suppress her laughter. Before, she was always the one I relentlessly roasted. Today, someone else had finally taken her place, watching me leave him unable to say a word. Why was she so happy? Although this older cousin was close to Xuan, she simply could not stand him. Xuan was also a young master of the Mu family, precious and doted upon by everyone. Yet he was never this overbearing and unreasonable. Siji was especially selfish too, as if the whole world revolved around him. At family gatherings when they were children, Siji did not dare bother the eldest sister too much, but he treated everyone else differently. They were all forced to become his toys. No matter what he wanted, they had to give in. If they refused, he would cry and make a scene. Whenever he caused trouble, he blamed the sisters, making them take the fall countless times. As he grew up, he learned to play the victim. Just seeing him irritated them. Now, someone had finally put him in his place. Peizuru shot her second daughter a glare, telling her to restrain herself and not go too far. Then she turned to Mu Xuan with an apologetic look. Sister, I am sorry. Xuan is wonderful, but he is too blunt. Please do not take it to heart. Then she turned back and cautioned me. Of course, young masters from the capital have good manners. Your cousin was only joking. Do not be petty and take it seriously. Mu Xuan was seething after hearing that. What, then? Her son was petty for taking it seriously. It was Siji's first time facing something like this. He stamped his foot and ran off unhappily. When no one was paying attention, Mu Yuwei quietly praised me. Well done. No one should indulge him. I gave her a cool glance. I am not his parents. Of course, I will not indulge him. What a perfectly reasonable thing to say. Why had she not thought that way when she was being bullied? Aside from my eldest aunt's family, whom I had never met before, at the banquet welcoming me into the family, I met the other members of the main Mu family. I had little contact with my other cousins. We merely introduced ourselves and became acquainted. Lu Manqi and Mu Mingyuan had 3 sons. Their second and youngest sons were close in age to Yuwei. Their eldest son was already married. He had married a daughter of a powerful capital family. Mu Xuan and Zi Fusheng had only 1 son, and that was Meng Siji. With everyone gathered together, there were quite a lot of people, making the place feel exceptionally lively. Old Madame Mu's smile never faded. Xuan, why have you lost so much weight? Old Madame Mu pulled Mu Xuan to her side, looked him over, and frowned. Mu Xuan touched his face, about to deny it. But old Madame Mu turned to Peizuru. She reproached her with displeasure. Although Xuan's identity was mistaken, he was raised by the Mu family for so many years. You cannot mistreat him because he lacks your blood. Peizuru's face turned unpleasant. What did she mean? Mistreating Xuan. When had they ever mistreated him? Seeing Peizuru's expression change, Mu Xuan hurriedly explained. Grandma, that is not true. Mom and Dad are very good to me. I caught a cold and had a fever a while ago. I got sick because I was not careful in winter. Mom and Dad treat me very well. Grandma, please do not misunderstand. If Mu Xuan had spoken as naturally as before, with his usual spoiled, affectionate tone, old Madame Mu would still have believed him. But because of what happened with Wen Yimo, a huge knot remained in his heart. He was convinced his parents were disappointed in him, so he had become somewhat timid and cautious. His hurried explanation should have been a good thing, but to others it looked like something else. Instead, it only made things look worse. Old Madame Mu held Mu Xuan's hand. Xuan, do not overthink it. You will always be a young master of the Mu family. Let me make this clear. If anyone dares make things difficult for you, call your grandmother. I will stand up for you. As she spoke, she gave me a pointed look. I noticed it, but it did not affect me in the least, nor did I find it surprising. Though Mu Xuan was not a Mu family child, they had raised him for more than a decade. Those years of affection were real. The love they had given him was returned, and could not be withdrawn overnight. Blood ties mattered, but affection built over time mattered too. I still say the same thing. As long as Mu Xuan does not provoke me, I have no interest in stirring up trouble. As for petty jealousy, what even is that? What are you talking about? Who is bullying Xuan? Xuan truly was sick recently. He had only just recovered and has not regained his strength. Father Mu was displeased with what his mother had said. She kept making remarks against Xiao Chen. If they intended to mistreat Xuan, why would they let him stay? To make trouble for themselves? Mu Xuan looked pleadingly at old Madame Mu. Mom and Dad truly treat me well. Please do not blame them. He should be grateful they allowed him to stay. After all, he was not the true young master. All right, do not get upset. Your grandmother is simply worried about you. She talks about you all day. If school were not about to start, she would want you to stay a while longer. Seeing the mood was about to be ruined, Lu Manqi quickly spoke up to ease the awkwardness. Old Madame Mu did not press the issue further. She stroked Mu Xuan's head, her gaze full of affection. You will take your college entrance exams next year. Apply to Capital University. You can live with the Mu family while you are there. Mu Xuan instinctively looked toward Peizuru, as though seeking her opinion. Peizuru furrowed her brow. As for where to apply for the college entrance examination, had the family not discussed it long ago? It was entirely up to what Xuan wanted. Instead, she went along with the old madam's suggestion. Your grandmother is right. Capital University would make it easier for us to look after you. Mu Xuan was happy at first, but then doubt rose in his heart. Had mom truly become disappointed in him? Did she no longer like him? Was she telling him to apply to Capital University so he could be far away from home, without having to appear at home so often? His spirits sank at once, but he did not dare show it. He could only force a smile. Luckily, he lowered his head, or everyone would have wondered what he was thinking. Father Mu's family stayed in the capital for 2 days. Peizuru wanted to take me sightseeing. After all, I had never been to the capital. The capital had plenty of fun places and delicious food. During the new year, visiting temples was especially common. Most people in the capital did it. There was also a grand temple fair. It was incredibly lively. On the 3rd day, Mu Mingyuan grew interested too. He called his family over, saying they rarely got together, so they might as well go together. The more people, the merrier. So the entire family set off into vans. Who knew what Meng Siji was thinking? But he joined in on the outing too. He dragged Mu Xuan into their uncle's car, forcing Mu Mingyuan's youngest son out. Mu Ruxu was a little simple-minded. She was not good at sweet-talking people, but she was clearly an honest, kind-hearted girl. She had gotten along with Mu Yuwei since childhood. Watching the two chat so comfortably, I gave them a meaningful look. Birds of a feather flocked together. Mu Yuwei was a fool herself, so naturally she got along with another fool like Ruxu. Mu Yuwei noticed my look and shot me a baffled glance. What was he plotting now? It was the new year, so he had better not get himself scolded again. I quickly withdrew my gaze. The group headed to the capital's most famous temple. The temple had a history of more than 300 years, though it had survived dynasties rising and falling, and the ravages of war. It had fortunately endured and remained remarkably well preserved. The Buddha statue in the main hall had sat there for over 3 centuries, unchanged as ever, watching the world's splendor with compassionate eyes. Without a shred of guilt, I stepped into the main hall. I knelt on a prayer cushion with everyone else, closed my eyes, and silently recited my prayer. I hoped to earn enough merit soon to return to Wangsi City and reopen the gate of rebirth. Only after praying for a while did I open my eyes. I met the compassionate eyes of the Buddha statue. I paused. Why did something feel off about its gaze? Maybe it was because I felt guilty, and that was why the statue seemed strange to me. I stared at the statue without blinking, trying to determine whether the problem was me. Chen, do not stare at the Buddha like that. The Buddha may take offense. After finishing her prayers, Peizuru noticed her son. He was kneeling perfectly straight, but his eyes were far too bold, fixed directly on the Buddha statue ahead. I looked away. Mom, do you not think its gaze is strange? Peizuru casually glanced at it, then quickly looked away. She said with a fond, chiding smile, "You silly child, what are you thinking? Are not all Buddha statues like this? What is strange about it? This Buddha statue in the main hall is more than 300 years old. It was sculpted when this temple was first built. It has never changed. How could there be anything strange about it?" Remembering that her son had grown up in a Taoist temple, Peizuru gently reassured him. There may be more Buddhist temples these days, but Taoist temples still exist too. When we have time, I will take you to visit one. If I were not the prince of Wangsi City, I would have been scared to death. I was not a ghost, but I still belonged to the underworld. By nature, I was not of the same kind as Buddhas and immortals. I should come to places like this less often. After all, we did not walk the same path. Before getting up, I could not help taking another look. That gaze still did not feel right. At first glance, it looked deeply compassionate, but on closer inspection, it carried an unsettling air. It did not look like a proper Buddha statue at all. Instead, it seemed sinister. After leaving the main hall, I set my doubts aside. Perhaps I truly was being overly suspicious. This temple and its Buddha statue had endured for 3 centuries. They had received countless offerings of incense. Even if something had been wrong, all that incense should have purified it. Peizuru had visited this temple several times. Its scenery was quite lovely. A heavy snow had fallen on the capital before the new year. Temperatures had stayed low these past few days, so the snow had not melted. It was the perfect time to go up the mountain and see the snowy landscape. The moment I heard there would be snow to see, I was interested. I truly had never seen snow. I probably had never seen it before. I could not remember how long I had been in Wangsi City. Before arriving in Wangsi City, I probably had not seen it either. Otherwise, why would I have no memory of it at all? Peizuru watched me walking ahead, skipping along with growing excitement. Gone was the mature, steady manner I showed at home. Only then did I look like a young boy, watching her lively son. A loving smile curved Peizuru's lips. Her eyes were filled with tender adoration, yet regret still lingered in her heart. She had missed her son's childhood. The Mu sisters found it novel to see. They had thought their little brother was a stiff little old man. It turned out he really was still a child. As for why he was steadier than an adult, they did not need to think hard to understand. A warm feeling of sisterly affection welled up in Mu Yuwei's heart. She secretly decided to give in to him more from now on. After all, she was his 4th sister. As they walked, Mu Yuwei felt playful. She bent down and grabbed a handful of snow, packing it into a snowball, then threw it at me ahead of her. The snowball struck me squarely. I stopped in my tracks, turned around with a stern little face, and the other 3 Mu sisters all pointed at her, showing that they were innocent. I narrowed my eyes at Mu Yuwei. "You are getting bold, throwing snow at me." Mu Yuwei saw me tauntingly toss the snow in my hand. After staring at her for a moment, I suddenly smiled, revealing white teeth. I wore a white knit hat, with 2 fluffy pom-poms dangling from it. A ring of cute trim circled its brim. When I smiled like that, my little face looked soft and chubby, like a tiny kitten grinning wide. The 4 sisters felt their hearts jolt at the sight, all warm and tingly. They had the urge to rush over and pinch his cheeks. Was their little brother really this adorable? Compared to his usual maturity, this contrast was simply too cute. I had no idea that one smile had ruined my image. From then on, in the hearts of my 4 sisters, all 4 sisters remembered me for that adorable contrast. Mu Yuwei was stunned too. She scratched her head, thinking he seemed even cuter than Xuan. As she thought that, a white blur flew straight at her face. She reacted quickly and dodged aside, but she did not escape it. The snowball smacked her in the face. She froze. She had thought she could dodge it. With my hands on my hips, I grinned smugly. "That is what you get for throwing snow at me, trying to dodge. Dream on." At the side, Peizuru clenched her fist, cheering her son on. "Chen, nice shot. Your 4th sister has it coming. Keep throwing snow at her. As long as you do not hit her to death, it is fine." "Mom, am I even your daughter?" Mu Yuwei cried out in despair. Peizuru gave her a disdainful look. "I wish you were not my daughter. Unfortunately, You look too much like me. You probably were not switched at birth. Mu Yuwei felt as if her heart had been pierced full of holes. Are you not afraid my little brother will hurt me? She asked unwillingly. Peizuru waved a hand. That would only prove you are useless. What is so serious about getting hit by a few snowballs? It is not as if it could injure you. If you really did get hurt, that would only prove you are too weak. People would laugh at you for it. As I spoke, I packed another snowball and threw it at her. I had wanted to teach Mu Yuwei a lesson for a long time. She had grown taller, but not smarter. A few words from others are enough to provoke her. Who knows what she might do if someone uses her someday. Usually, I cannot be bothered with her. But today, she brought it on herself. I would not go easy on her. I would teach her a lesson first. So Mu Yuwei and I began a snowball fight. At first, she figured she was sturdier than me. How could she lose a snowball fight to a little boy? She had planned to use the chance to vent her frustration. But who could have known? Reality was brutal. She was completely crushed. In the end, I pelted her until she ran around with her head covered. Those three heartless sisters were the worst. They only stood by and enjoyed the show. Not one of them came to help her. In this family of 8, perhaps she was the one they had picked up off the street. What are you doing, Mu Yuwei? And I stopped our game. Mu Yuwei secretly breathed a sigh of relief. This was so embarrassing. She had actually lost a snowball fight to her little brother. It was Mu Xuan and Meng Siji. Everyone had come together. After paying their respects, they had split up. Meng Siji had insisted on dragging Mu Xuan along, so Mu Xuan had gone with him. Now they had run into each other again. Seeing Mu Yuwei in such a bedraggled state, her neat clothes from earlier now stained with snow, and her bird's nest hair covered in snow, been looking at me, spotlessly clean. Mu Xuan was somewhat displeased. Chen, how could you pelt fourth sister until she looks like this? The moment Mu Yuwei heard that, she knew trouble was coming. She hurried to explain before I could speak, but I gave her no chance. If you had not shouted, I could have hit her even harder. Besides, she threw snow at me first. She only threw one snowball at you. And what did you do? So I pelted her like a target. Mu Xuan faltered. He opened his mouth and said awkwardly, even so, you should not have hit her this badly. Mu Yuwei quickly tried to smooth things over. Xuan, I am fine. We were having a snowball fight. It did not hurt at all. My clothes just look a little dirty. You do not need to worry. Mu Xuan had ruined my mood. I tossed the snowball in my hand aside, brushed off my palms, and huffed. Then I walked over to Peizuru. Mom, let us keep going. Peizuru nodded with a smile. Then she looked at Mu Xuan and Meng Siji. Since we ran into you, come with us. There are so many people during the New Year holidays. It is easy for something to happen. Although Peizuru worried the two boys might clash, her gaze fell on Mu Xuan. She had once helped a master. He had promised her a favor. She had never intended to call in that promise, but now she had no choice. She had to save her eldest grandson. Peizuru and the others walked around the temple, then left without incident. The couple finally put their worries to rest. After staying in the capital for 2 days, they set off for Haishi. Father Mu got busy arranging for me to attend school. After much deliberation, the couple decided to send me to Mu Xuan's school. Though the two of us did not get along well, at least we would be in the same school, in the same class. We could look out for each other somewhat. But as the couple considered that, they did not have much confidence. With Chen's temperament, it was impossible to expect him and Mu Xuan to look after each other. Still, they ultimately decided on it. They held on to a small hope. Perhaps things would not turn out as badly as they feared. Throughout winter break, I kept up with extra lessons. The Mu sisters tutored me, and they hired tutors to come to the house. At first, no one knew what I had learned before. What exactly had I studied in the past? But they soon figured it out completely. Though I had never received a formal education, the Taoist nun who raised me had taught me a great deal. I was also quick to understand and learn very fast. Father Mu and Peizuru were overjoyed. At the same time, they were deeply relieved. Thankfully, the Taoist nun had been well educated. She had taught Chen so much. Otherwise, he might truly have been illiterate. Soon, the new term began. That day, Father Mu delayed going to work. He personally drove his son to school. The car carried a worried Peizuru, as well as Mu Yuwei, representing the four sisters. Peizuru kept giving me instructions in the car. I did not seem impatient. Mu Yuwei's ears were practically calloused from hearing it. Mom, that is enough. He is only going to school. You would think he was off to do something dangerous. Mu Yuwei rolled her eyes. Besides, he is not even boarding there. He will come home every day. What could happen? Peizuru shot her a fierce glare. You know nothing, so be quiet. Something happened at this school not long ago. If Xuan had not already been studying here, and if this were not his final term, I would never have let Chen attend this school. Thinking of that incident, Peizuru felt a surge of unease. After all, Mu Xuan had been involved too. She wanted to say a few things, but seeing the silent Mu Xuan beside her, she swallowed her words. Forget it. He surely knew he had been completely wrong. He would not do anything so foolish again. If she kept pressing the matter, he might become sensitive and overthink it again. Mom, Do not worry. I will not let anyone bully me. I knew what she was worried about. Never mind that I am a young master of the Mu family. Even if I were ordinary, anyone who bullied me would get it back 100-fold. Bullies always pick on the weak and fear the strong. As long as you are tougher than they are, they will be the ones afraid of you. Father Mu and Pei Zuru escorted me to the school gate, but could not go inside. The school did not normally allow parents in. They could only drop off and pick up students at the gate. As they watched Mu Xuan and me walk inside, Pei Zuru was still worried. Father Mu wrapped an arm around her shoulders and comforted her. Do not worry. Xiao Chen is a smart boy. He will be fine. Besides, he is not one to let others take advantage of him. Pei Zuru gave him a cool glance. She could not be bothered explaining further. It was precisely because she knew his temperament that she worried more. What if he got into a conflict with someone? Once inside the school, I could not hide my curiosity. I carefully looked all around the campus. Children in this era are truly fortunate. Even boys can attend school for only a little money. Such a spacious, bright place with such smooth, clean floors. They need not fear the summer heat or the winter cold. It was nothing like children in the past. Only children of the upper nobility had slightly better school conditions. For common children, getting an education was incredibly difficult. Why was I thinking this? Had I seen such things before? I was briefly puzzled, but could find no matching memory. I assumed I had once heard ghosts speak of it. Mu Xuan noticed my awestruck gaze, and the way I looked around. He could not help feeling contemptuous. He lowered his eyes to hide the scorn in them. Xiao Chen, do you know how to get to your classroom? Do you want me to take you there? Mu Xuan asked in front of the teaching building. I gave him a cold glance. No. Mu Xuan smiled faintly. Then go by yourself. Your classroom is upstairs. It is easy to find. If you cannot find it, ask a teacher. Mu Xuan was secretly relieved that I had returned just before winter break. That spared him the strange looks of those around him. At that thought, Mu Xuan let out a breath. He turned and headed one way. I went in the opposite direction. I stopped at the back door of Class F. I looked up and confirmed I was in the right place. Then I fell silent. No wonder Father's expression had been so complicated when he heard I was joining Class F. It had been impossible to read. You are the new student, right? Mu Chen. Correct. Class F's homeroom teacher hurried over. He saw a boy standing at the back door. He paused, then remembered the matter. I spun around at once. I carefully looked the teacher over. Once I confirmed who he was, I respectfully bowed. Hello, teacher. The teacher was taken aback by me. So formal? The boy had even bowed to him. Mu Chen, I am your homeroom teacher. My surname is Liu. Everyone calls me Big Liu. You can call me that too. Come to me if you have any problems. I gently shook my head. Then I said solemnly, you are a teacher and deserve respect. How can I call you Big Liu? Respecting one's teachers is basic decency. Big Liu was suddenly touched. After teaching for so many years, this was the first time he had felt so moved. But the feeling vanished in an instant. Big Liu quickly regained his composure. Class is about to begin. Come in with me. Big Liu strode into the classroom. The students acted as though they did not see him. They kept doing whatever they were doing, noisily chatting away. Big Liu was clearly used to it. Quiet down, everyone. Class is starting. Before that, let me introduce a new classmate. Big Liu shouted at the top of his lungs. The classroom noise abruptly paused. Everyone turned their eyes toward me. They sized me up from where I stood at the front. A new student at this time? That is quite a surprise. This handsome guy is not bad looking. He is seriously handsome. Big Liu heard the murmurs below. He looked rather embarrassed. He cleared his throat and gently said to me, Mu Chen, introduce yourself first. I nodded calmly, looking at everyone below. I am Mu Chen. Mu Chen. Is that all? I gave him a baffled glance. What else was I supposed to say? That was quite the brief introduction. After introducing myself, it was time to arrange my seat. Big Liu was still deciding where to seat me. I looked around myself, then I headed straight for a certain desk. When they saw me sit down, Big Liu and the students gaped. Their faces were full of shock. Beyond their surprise, the students seemed to carry a hint of anticipation for a good show. Who told you to sit here? I turned to look at my deskmate. Can I not sit here? No, I do not want to sit with anyone else, Lu Qiyuping said with a dark expression. If he had not been a boy, she would have kicked him already. Who gave him the nerve to sit beside her? I withdrew my gaze and said mildly, oh, then you should change seats. Lu Qiyuping and the other students were dumbfounded. When she recovered, she laughed in anger. She pointed to herself. Do you know who I am? No. She did not introduce herself. How would I know who she is? You dare speak to me like that without knowing who I am? Do not think I will not hit you just because you are a boy. I finally spared her a glance. You want to hit me? Leave now, or I will teach you a lesson. I considered it, then said seriously, then let us fight. We will fight. If I win, you will listen to me from now on. If I lose, I will listen to you. What do you say? The classroom instantly fell silent. Then everyone burst out laughing. Oh. I am dying of laughter. He said he wants to fight Lu Qiyuping. Does he not know how tough Sister Ping is? Sister Ping, Teach him a lesson. Lu Qiyuping curled her lip disdainfully. I never fight boys. I could take you down with one finger. I smiled faintly. I think you are too scared to fight me. You are afraid of losing. Lu Qiyuping was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She sprang up from her seat. Me. Lose. What a joke. Fine. Since you do not know your place, I will grant your wish. Since he was good-looking, she had planned to generously overlook him sitting there without permission. She had not expected him to reject her kindness. Her sideways glance at me was full of disgust. She was certain I was like the other boys who tried to get close to her. Then it is settled. I calmly laid out my books. My posture was impeccably proper. I made it clear that it was time for class. Xuan, why is your brother not with you? Did your parents not let him join your class? After Mu Chen returned to his classroom and took his seat, his usual friends immediately gathered around to ask. Mu Chen pressed his lips together and answered. Xiao Chen went to class F. He went to class F. Then his grades must be terrible. I thought your parents adored him. Why would they put him in class F? Class F is where people just coast through school. They all plan to study abroad after the college entrance exams. Most are younger children or unfavored ones. They will not have to inherit the family business. They can simply live off the family money. They do not care about grades at all, and no one else cares either. As long as they do not cause trouble at school, everything else is ignored. The Mu family sent him to class F. Looks like they do not love him that much after all. Exactly. He may be their biological son, but he spent more than a decade living outside the family. Who knows what he is like? How could he compare to the carefully raised Xuan? It seems Xuan is still the Mu family's young master. Mu Chen hesitated briefly. Xiao Chen did not do well on the exam. He did not mention that Father Mu had initially wanted to use his connections to transfer me into class A, but I had firmly refused. Father Mu doted on his son excessively. Naturally, he would not force him. That was why I went to class F. Mu Zhuan's friend curled his lip. He could only get into class F. That is truly pathetic. Xuan is ranked first in class A. The gap between them is enormous. Mu Chen continued explaining. Xiao Chen did not want this either. He used to live in a Taoist temple. He never even attended a proper school. Getting into class F is already quite good for him. If he studies hard, he can still transfer to another class. It is already the second half of the school year. What is the point of transferring now? After the college entrance exams, everyone will move on to another school. You said he lived in a Taoist temple. Seriously. Hearing this explosive news, even more classmates gathered around to gossip. There is nothing to talk about. Class is about to start. Hurry back to your seats. Mu Chen ushered the students beside him away, urging them to return to their seats. But the less he was willing to explain, the more curious everyone became. They could only make their own guesses. Mu Chen sat at his desk, with his eyes lowered. He flipped through his book, quiet and well-behaved as always. Then he suddenly turned toward a seat. Someone familiar should have been sitting there, but the seat was empty now. The person who used to sit there was gone. Thinking of Jiang, his eyes darkened. His gaze drifted carelessly toward another spot. Then he pulled it back as if pricked by a needle. He did not dare look again. That was Wen Yimo's seat. After what happened, everything had changed. Normally, the classes kept to themselves. They did not interfere with each other and did not like one another. Class F sat at the bottom of the school's pecking order. The higher classes had even less interest in associating with them. But today was different. As soon as class ended, a classes student went out, then ran back at top speed. He shouted excitedly, "Big news! Big news! Someone in class F is going to fight. What is wrong with you? What is so unusual about class F fighting? It would be unusual if they went a day without a fight. No. That is not it." The student who had run back stamped his feet. He gave Mu Chen a meaningful look. Mu Chen was completely baffled. The student deliberately played mysterious. "Do you know who is fighting Lu Qiyuping?" His gaze landed on Mu Chen again. The hint was so obvious that no one around them could ignore it. Mu Zhuan's expression nearly froze. Everyone exchanged looks. One of his close male friends asked, "You mean Xiao Xuan's brother is fighting Lu Qiyuping?" "No way. Who is Lu Qiyuping?" "Never mind the seniors. In the entire school, everyone knows who she is. She has been notorious since middle school, though not in a good way." "That is right. It is Mu Chen." People from class F said so themselves. They also said Mu Chen started it and told her to meet him in the woods after school. After saying that, the student grinned at Mu Chen. "Mu Chen, your brother is really something. He actually dared challenge Lu Qiyuping. Has he trained before? He must be amazing, right?" Once he was sure they were not joking, Mu Chen shot to his feet and headed outside. He was furious and anxious. Was Mu Chen insane? How could he provoke just anyone? Did he think the school was the Mu family home? That everyone would indulge him, and let him do whatever he pleased. He stormed toward Class F to find Mu Chen, but halfway there he stopped. He bit his lip hard, his fist clenched tightly, his eyes flickered uncertainly. Stopping him would certainly be best. Then his parents would not blame him for causing trouble. But if he did not stop him, and Mu Chen really fought Lu Qiyuping, he would cause trouble either way. He had not dealt much with Lu Qiyuping, but he had heard plenty about her. He knew the Lu family was no ordinary family. Mu Chen had provoked her. Gritting his teeth, he turned back. Forget it. He would not get involved. Even if he tried to persuade him, Mu Chen would not listen. He might even say something hurtful and make Mu Xuan lose face too. Were they not fighting after school? He could try talking him out of it then. If Mu Chen still refused, he would call their eldest sister. Then his parents could not blame him. Class F was buzzing all morning. Big Liu heard the two of us talking, but did not take it seriously. After class, he gave a few reminders. Lu Qiyuping, do not quarrel with a boy. It would be beneath her dignity. After that, he left. He knew Lu Qiyuping fairly well. He thought she would not take her anger out on a new student, but he had not expected that I was no pushover either. So as soon as class ended, Class F poured out in a huge crowd, heading for the woods behind the school. I glanced at the classmates following us. My gaze settled on Lu Qiyuping. I wondered if I should remind her to send the uninvolved students away first. Otherwise, she might be embarrassed later. Wanting to save face was only natural. This often happened in Wangsi City. When they lost, they would cry and howl, demanding that I uphold justice. How was I supposed to uphold justice in a fight? If you were not skilled enough, you accepted defeat. Later, no one bothered me with such trivial matters. I handled countless affairs in my sister's place. How could I spare time for petty squabbles? Lu Qiyuping felt there was something strange about my look, but she had no proof. How do you want to fight? Before we begin, if you sincerely admit your mistake, we can let this go. I will be generous and not hold it against you. Lu Qiyuping spoke arrogantly. Fighting a boy was humiliating. Even if she won, people would probably laugh at her, but she could not simply let it go. Where would that leave her pride? So he had to apologize and admit fault. Fight, however, you are best at. Stop talking nonsense and start already. I need to get home early. The Mu family driver is probably here already. Lu Qiyuping was so angry that she laughed. Fine. Since you are begging for a beating, there is no need for me to be polite. It was rare for her to be so magnanimous, yet he did not appreciate it at all. Mu Xuan left as soon as class ended. His classmates assumed he had gone to stop them. He did go to the woods, but after one look from afar, he turned and left. He headed straight for the school gate. At the gate, he quickly spotted the Mu family car. The person stepping out of the driver's seat was their eldest sister, Mu Wanting. His eyes lit up, and he hurried over. He said urgently, "Big sister, you came at the perfect time. Xiao Chen is about to fight someone. Hurry and stop him." Mu Wanting was utterly stunned. She thought she had misheard. Fight? You are saying Xiao Chen is going to fight someone? Mu Xuan looked worried and frantic. I do not know why, but as soon as he arrived at school, he got into a conflict with the class troublemaker. They agreed to fight in the woods after school. I cannot talk him out of it. Big sister, please hurry. What if he gets beaten before we get there? Mu Wanting grew anxious at once. Without asking more, she rushed into the school. The guard tried to stop her, but she revealed who she was. She said a child in her family was in trouble. The guard did not dare stop her further. He simply let her in. Mu Xuan anxiously led his eldest sister toward the woods. His act was flawless, yet anticipation flickered in his eyes at times. Worried about her brother, Mu Wanting did not notice. The two hurried to the woods, but the sight before them stunned them both. They fell silent. Mu Wanting especially was beginning to question reality. She had expected to find her brother being bullied. Why did you come into the school? It is getting late. Let us go home. Mu Wanting came to her senses only after a long moment. When she saw I was already several yards away, she hurried after me. It was not until we got back in the car that she finally recovered her senses and her voice. Her gaze was incredibly complicated. She looked at me as if at a loss for words. I looked at her and confessed honestly. Oh, I just fought someone. I won. There is no need to tell Mom and Dad about something so small. It would only make them worry. What do you think? She felt something was wrong here. How could he go around fighting people? And why had he won? Have you trained? Other than that, she could think of no other explanation. Of course one have trained. I am pretty good too. In Wangsi City, apart from my sister, I was the strongest. Mu Wanting stared at me in silence. Just then, Mu Xuan finally caught up. He opened the car door and climbed into the backseat. He was slightly out of breath. Before he could catch his breath, I hit him with a single question. I do not want Mom and Dad to know about today. It would only make them worry. What do you think? Mu Xuan met my cold eyes and felt stifled for a moment. He subconsciously glanced at Mu Wanting. She was still lost in shock. She did not notice his look at all. She gave no response. Mu Xuan could only lower his head, aggrieved and unwilling. His eyes fell. I understand. I will not mention it to Mom and Dad. Xiao Chen never mentioned that he had trained. On the way home, Mu Wanning could not help asking. You never asked? I answered with complete conviction. Mu Wanning was left speechless. After thinking it over, guilt rose in her heart. They had not cared enough about Xiao Chen after he came home. They had never taken the initiative to ask or understand him. They had even worried that Xiao Xuan would be wronged. They worried Xiao Chen had grown wild while being raised outside the family, that he would not know how to be tactful or accommodating, or how to care for his family. They feared the family would be thrown into chaos. But he was their biological younger brother, their full brother, born of the same mother. They only knew he had grown up in a Taoist temple. They had never cared how he grew up, or what kind of life he had lived. In the months after the Taoist nun died, how had he survived alone? Had something terrible happened to him? Was that why he learned to defend himself? When they got home, Peizuru immediately asked about his day at school. She questioned him carefully. My answers were flawless. How could she imagine her well-behaved son had gotten into a fight? Hearing that everything was fine, she relaxed. Mu Juan wanted to expose the truth, but he did not dare take that risk. In the end, he told himself to forget it. Even if he spoke up, Xiao Chen probably would not be punished. Why make himself look bad for nothing? That made him feel a little better. We may have a guest staying with us soon. Zuru, make the arrangements. Father Mu said this at the dinner table, as if just remembering. Peizuru was surprised. They were having a guest? How had she not heard about it? Father Mu raised his brow slightly, seemingly a little puzzled. It is the old madam of the Diwu family in Beijing. The old madam of the Diwu family? This time, Peizuru was truly shocked. We have never had any dealings before. Why would the old madam come to visit us? Father Mu thought for a moment before replying. It is not exactly a social visit. The old madam is coming to Haishi on business. She does not want to stay in a hotel. The Diwu family has no residence here. When Big Sister learned of it, she asked us to host her. How could Big Sister do this? She did not even ask us first. It was obvious what she was after. Though the Diwu family was not among Beijing's top-tier families, its name did not rank especially high, but that did not diminish its status or influence. The Diwu family was neither political nor commercial. It relied on divination, prophecy, and altering fate. Legend said its ancestor foresaw a national catastrophe and changed the fate of the entire country. That was how the present empire came to be. But their ancestor revealed heaven's secrets and met an untimely death. Although the Diwu family's status was secured and its prestige and power reached their peak, but everything has both advantages and disadvantages. The fate of a nation had been changed. How could one life possibly pay for that? From then on, the Diwu family's bloodline dwindled. That vast family was reduced to only two branches. There were only 3 descendants in total, 2 men and 1 woman. The direct line had only 1 heir. Worse still, that precious direct heir suffered some unknown misfortune years ago. Rumor had it that he was left in a vegetative state. He could pass away at any moment. Their bloodline dwindled, and their abilities weakened as well. It was said the direct heir did not even know what the I Ching was. For such an ancient family to fall so far was truly lamentable. Still, no one dared underestimate the Diwu family. It was a family protected by those at the very top. The one lying unconscious had grown up at the head of state's residence. The nation's leader loved him like a son. He had spared no effort to cure him, and publicly promised a favor to whoever could cure him. No matter how diminished the Diwu family was, it remained far beyond most people's reach. Besides, even a dying lion still has teeth. Their eldest aunt wanted to gain something from it. But what did it have to do with their family? The old madam was advanced in years. What if something happened to her? Who could bear that responsibility? If they hosted her well, their grandaunt would benefit. They would gain nothing in Haishi. It was all effort with no reward. One look at his wife's expression, and Father Mu knew exactly what she was thinking. He did not want to get involved either. By splitting from the family and leaving Beijing, he had made his stance clear. He had no grand ambitions. He worked hard only to give his wife and children a good life, enough to live comfortably, spend freely, and be happy. If his wife wanted to live like a wealthy lady and enjoy beauty treatments, or travel abroad and attend fashion shows, that was fine. He would give his sons the best educational environment, but a father could not support them forever. If they lacked ability in the future, they could live ordinary lives. He would not slave away for them forever. As for Xiao Chen, he had to be cared for his whole life. He had suffered far too much in the first half of his life. They had to make it up to him for the rest of it. Father Mu thought connecting with the Diwu family could be a good thing. They could build a good relationship, and perhaps find Xiao Chen a good match someday. But he could not say that in front of the children. Do not overthink it. Even if we agree, she may not come. And if we do host her, that is not a bad thing. Having more connections never hurts. Peizuru could only nod. The people in Beijing had set their minds on it. If they refused, their eldest aunt would ask the old madam to intervene. The Mu children all seemed interested. Only I did not even look up. I stayed focused on eating dinner. It was as though I faced the finest feast in the world. Seeing this, Father Mu became deeply worried. Xiao Chen had been raised far too innocently. He did not know whether that was good or bad. What if Xiao Chen could not find someone sincere someday? If he married into a powerful family, He might be exploited and discarded. But if he married an ordinary person, Father Mu could not bear to see him suffer. He decided his wife should guide Xiaochen more in the future. Society was complicated. Being too innocent was not good. While Father Mu's thoughts ran wild, I swallowed my final bite. I finished dinner, completely satisfied. When I looked up, I met my father's complicated gaze. I paused. Had I eaten too much? Was he worried that I had overeaten? Surely he was not afraid I would eat the family into poverty. How could I know he was worrying about my marriage? The moment I stepped into Class F at school, the noisy classroom fell silent, as if someone had pressed mute. Everyone shut their mouths. They appeared busy with their own things, but kept sneaking glances at me. Their looks were exceedingly strange. Without looking aside, I walked to my seat and sat down. Beside me, Lu Qiyuping wore a dark expression. Hey, why are you not saying anything? She was waiting for me to humiliate her. But after waiting and waiting, nothing happened. I took out my textbook and began reading. Only then could she no longer hold back. What is going on? Say something. I gave her a puzzled glance. Lu Qiyuping slammed her hand down and stood up. She glared furiously at me. You tricked me. The classroom was frighteningly quiet. The students round us had all backed away. I blinked innocently. Oh. You mean yesterday's fight? Did you not lose? I am your boss now. How dare you treat me like this? I frowned deeply. I decided I needed to establish my authority. I rose from my seat and walked to the podium. My gaze swept across the class. Cold and imposing. From now on, I am Class F's boss. If you do not accept that, challenge me. From now on, you listen to me. Understand. Although I had beaten Lu Qiyuping, Class F did not accept me because of it. I was a newly transferred student, and a boy at that. What made me qualified to be their boss? Even if Lu Qiyuping had lost, there were still plenty of others. Why should they listen to some weak boy? Do not think beating Sister Ping is enough. For all we know, you just got lucky, or used some underhanded trick. Do not get so cocky, newcomer. Exactly. We only recognize Sister Ping. I arched one slender brow. You recognize Lu Qiyuping, but Lu Qiyuping recognizes me. Those are not the same thing. Was Mu Chen out of his mind? I did not waste words on the others. My gaze settled on Lu Qiyuping. Do you acknowledge yesterday's result or not? If you do not, there is nothing I can do about it. After all, shameless people are invincible. Naturally, I could do nothing. What kind of fake innocent nonsense was that? She laughed in fury. Her vicious gaze locked on mine. Grinding her teeth, she forced out two words. I acknowledge it. Revenge is never too late. She was convinced yesterday had been a fluke. I must have used some trick to win. She had not even seen how I moved. Before she was already on the ground. She considered herself battle-tested. How could she possibly fail to withstand one move? That was simply impossible. I gave her a look of utter disdain. Did she think I wanted to be the boss? I did not want the position at all. Was being the boss so great? Put bluntly, it meant being a babysitter. An unpaid babysitter at that. I had already worked myself to the bone in Wangsi. I had not come to the human world to keep working myself to the bone. But what choice did I have for the sake of earning merit? Coming to Class F had been an accident. I had originally agreed to join Class A. But while walking down the corridor, I sensed something was wrong. Two clusters of energy swirled in the air, one black and one purple. The tiny wisps were entwined. The purple energy was weakening, and would soon be overwhelmed by the black. Purple energy meant there was someone of noble destiny nearby. But purple energy entwined with black baleful energy meant something was seriously wrong. That immediately caught my interest. Helping that person of noble destiny dispel the baleful energy would earn me merit. When I learned the room below was Class F, it meant the benefactor was in Class F. Of course, I had to investigate. That was why I enrolled in Class F. Lu Qiyuping was that fortunate yet ill-fated person of noble destiny. Lu Qiyuping glared at me, brows drawn tight. The Diwu family is really coming to our house? The matter came up again at the dinner table. This was not a discussion, but a notice. The Diwu family was coming. Mu Rulin and Mu Yakin felt that, with the elders handling it. They did not need to worry too much. They took it in stride. Mu Xuan lowered his eyes halfway, his thoughts racing. Only I paid no attention to anything beyond my plate, focused solely on shoveling down rice and dishes. Peizer's feelings grew complicated. Xiaochen was so innocent. What would become of him in the future? Such an important matter did not even concern him. He was far too carefree. Xiaochen, what do you think of this? Peizer suddenly asked. I was enjoying the food and froze for a moment. Then I blinked and saw everyone watching me, waiting to hear my opinion. I had no choice but to lower my chopsticks. I swallowed my food and thought for a moment. Since they are coming, we should welcome them properly. Just treat them as ordinary guests. Mu Zhuang could not help objecting. They are from the Diwu family. How can we treat them as ordinary guests? If they wanted to be waited on as VIPs, countless people could provide that. They could receive that kind of service at a hotel too. But they did not. Why come to our home instead? They do not want to be treated like some precious treasure. Not everyone wants to be put on a pedestal. Father Mu's brows drew together as he considered it. Soon, his expression relaxed into a smile. Xiaochen has a point. The Diwu family are not showy people. Since they are coming to our home, proper courtesy should be enough. Making too much of it would only seem fawning. Peizuru understood as well. Xiao Chen is absolutely right. The old madam is a low-key person. People in Beijing rarely see her in public. She does not like drawing attention. Treating her as an ordinary guest will do. Otherwise, what fine places has she not seen? Father Mu pondered for a moment, then said, "All right, let us do that." In truth, he found it strange as well. Why would they visit the home of people they did not know? Why had they chosen the Mu family? He had asked his eldest aunt in Beijing and gotten an earful. She said that if such a good opportunity fell into someone else's lap, they would seize it and make full use of it. Yet he wanted to push it away. Why dig into it so deeply? What could the Diwu family possibly be plotting? They would not even take the Mu family's assets if offered for free. He had hung up on the spot. The Diwu family could not possibly be after the Mu family. Since they were coming, he would simply accept it. As long as they did not offend the Diwu family, it would be fine. He had no interest in the benefits. His eldest aunt could pursue them herself. Thus, hosting the old madam was settled. Mu Xuan watched as they actually agreed. Did not know what to say. What was this if not utter nonsense? They were letting themselves become a laughingstock. They were gambling with their future and reputation. He wanted to say something, but swallowed his words. Forget it. Once the Diwu family moved into their home, he would figure something out then. He resolved to look out for himself. I did not give the family guest a second thought. The old madam would not affect me, and I would not need to entertain her. I would rather think about how to bring Lu Qiyuping into line. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed since I enrolled. I had adapted very well. Children these days were so fortunate. Even boys could attend school and study. As long as they were capable, they could keep studying. That was a wonderful thing. It was surely something I had never experienced before. Class F watched as I appointed myself their boss. During class, I was attentive and well-behaved, causing no trouble. After class, I diligently reviewed lessons and did homework. I was every inch the model student. Class F is not Class A. Ping. Are we really going to let this continue? He is trying to turn us into Class A. Xuan cried in despair. Mu Chen is getting more and more outrageous. It would be one thing if he wanted to be a model student himself, but he was forcing them to become model students too. No fighting or fooling around during lessons. No skipping class, and no leaving homework undone. Worst of all, he even gave pop quizzes. If they could not answer, they were punished until they understood it. He is not a student. He is practically the homeroom teacher. Even old Liu was not as dedicated as he was. Is something wrong with him? Lu Qiyuping's mouth twitched at the thought. First, he provoked her and defeated her, crushing Class F's resistance. She had thought he was about to do something earth-shattering. But was he actually some legendary do-gooder? Lu Qiyuping was irritated too. She could not beat him. What could she do? Thinking back to that bizarre incident, she refused to accept that she could not beat a boy. She wanted to restore her authority, but feared losing again and humiliating herself. She needed to be absolutely certain first. Mu Chen was clearly not simple. Put this matter aside for now. I need to go back to Beijing. We will talk when I return. Lu Qiyuping spoke with an irritated frown, her tone edged with agitation. Xuan silently sucked in a breath. She did not dare say another word. Everyone close to Sister Ping knew that she deeply resisted and despised Beijing. Every time she returned to Beijing, her mood soured. She became gloomy, depressed, repressed, and violent. No one dared risk provoking her. Lai Qingqiu patted Ping on the shoulder. If something is wrong, just say so. Do not carry it alone. Xuan quickly agreed. Sister Ping, we are sisters. Lu Qiyuping gave a derisive laugh. She shot the two of them a sidelong glance. Going back to Beijing is not like walking through fire. What are you afraid of? The two exchanged a look and said nothing. They were afraid of what had happened when she returned to Beijing 2 years ago. They had not thought much of it at the time, but she had come back having nearly lost her life. She had been covered in injuries, with hardly a patch of unbroken skin beneath her clothes. Everything had been red, swollen, and purple. It had felt as though her blood vessels might burst at any moment. Even the slightest touch had made her tremble. It took more than a month of recovery before she healed. Afterward, she returned to her usual appearance, as though nothing had ever happened. When they cautiously asked about it, she became strange. Her cold, fixed stare was terrifying. They never dared ask again. It had left them deeply traumatized, but she knew they cared about her. Lu Qiyuping smiled, warmth appearing in her eyes. All right, stop acting so sentimental. I can protect myself. I am not a child anymore. I know how to fight back. On the third day, I noticed Lu was absent. I thought she simply had not arrived, but she had taken the day off. I waved for Xuan to come over. My gesture was like calling over a little dog. Ji tried to ignore me and pretended not to notice. She suddenly felt cold all over as though icy air had wrapped around her. She shuddered from the cold. She reflexively looked over. She saw me staring straight at her with a smile. There was a chill in my eyes. She could not help shivering and decided it was better to go over. Otherwise, she had no idea what would happen. It certainly would not be something she wanted to see. "What do you want?" she asked resentfully, her voice harsh. "Where is Lu Qiyuping?" She wanted to snap back, but lost her nerve when she met those dark eyes. Sister Ping took the day off and did not come. I rested my chin on my hand and thought, taking the day off is not a good sign. Her fortune is turning bad. It is a sign of impending disaster. She may be injured, and her spirit is unstable. The baleful energy is now suppressing her purple aura. That is definitely not good. Where did she go while taking leave? What did she go there to do? Ji exploded at the interrogation. What is this? A criminal interrogation. Even if you appointed yourself Class F's boss, you have no right to treat us like criminals. I stared at Jiang Xuan, utterly baffled. This girl is unbelievable. On the third day, I took the day off. The Mu family decided to treat their guests normally. They still had to keep up appearances. Father Mu waved his hand, sending the whole family into action. They all took the day off to welcome the distinguished guests at home. I had no objection, so I took the day off. I had no idea Class F was in an uproar. After making fun of me yesterday, Pule cast the whole matter aside, treating my words as empty threats. He went to class, came home after school, and followed his usual routine. He went to bed early, in a good mood. Then something unexpected happened. When he woke up, he called for someone to bring him something, but no sound came out. Thinking he was not fully awake, he shouted at the top of his lungs. His face changed when no sound came out. Thinking it was a dream, he touched his throat and opened his mouth. Then he rushed out with a silent scream. The Pooh household descended into chaos. They did not connect it to yesterday's events and assumed he was sick. The hospital tests showed nothing wrong. His vocal cords and organs were perfectly healthy. He simply could not speak. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. The doctor attributed it to a psychological problem. Life had been going smoothly lately, with no major incidents. The doctor advised him to go home, rest, and adjust his mindset. It might resolve itself within a few hours. When Class F heard the doctor's diagnosis, it erupted. Something happened to Pule and several others. Someone lowered their voice mysteriously. Jiang Xuan pricked up her ears and asked what had happened. A classmate sat beside her and shared the gossip. Ning. My house is close to the Pooh families. Our maid heard it while walking the dog. Pule became mute first thing this morning. People nearby suspected it was fake. How could someone healthy suddenly become mute? He sounded perfectly fine in a voice message last night. It is true. The maid was chatting with someone from her hometown. The hospital could not find anything wrong. They said it was caused by psychological factors, and several of Pule's close friends all happened to take the day off today. The room fell silent as everyone exchanged uneasy looks. No one knew whether to believe it. It was too bizarre, and no one connected it to yesterday. Only Jiang Xuan and Lai Qingqiu froze for a moment. They remembered what I had said yesterday. I will punish you by taking away your voices for 3 days. Jiang Xuan broke out in goosebumps. A chill ran through her. It was far too eerie. Qingqiu, could this be related to Mu Chen? It is hard not to suspect him. He said it yesterday, and trouble struck today. It was exactly like the punishment he described. That is far too much of a coincidence. Lai Qingqiu furrowed her brows. Lai Qingqiu took a deep breath. Whether it was coincidence or not, we must never provoke him again. That man is truly impossible to read. If he really did this, our fate could be much worse. Jiang Xuan nodded vigorously. She felt the same way. From that day on, the atmosphere in class changed. No one dared shout or fool around anymore. Everyone obediently listened to me and studied. I watched it all with satisfaction. As long as they stopped causing trouble, I had no desire to use harsh methods against them. The days that followed were peaceful enough, but the online uproar grew increasingly fierce. When Yimo's parents produced evidence, they handed it directly to the police. The police launched an investigation and gathered evidence. The truth about what happened at them all that year was exposed. Zhang Yan and several other students involved were all given major demerits and ordered to withdraw from school. At last, the truth could no longer be concealed. Mu Chen was restless at home. He spent all day terrified and dazed. The Mu family watched the news reports. When they learned Zhang Yan was involved in a murder case, they were all shocked and shaken by what might have happened. Pei Zuru looked at Mu Chen and asked, Xiao Xuan, tell your mother the truth. Did you take part in what Zhang Yan did? Mu Zhuan's face turned deathly pale. He dropped to his knees with a thud. Mom, I truly had no part in hurting anyone. I only stood by and watched. I was too afraid to stop them. I truly know I was wrong. After Father Mu and the sisters heard him, their eyes filled with deep disappointment. Although he had not personally pushed anyone, coldly standing by, condoning them, and shielding them, was equally unforgivable. Father Mu made his decision with a cold expression. The Mu family cannot keep someone as high and mighty as you. I will give you enough money to live on. Move out and live on your own. From now on, conduct yourself properly. Mu Chen begged everyone through his tears, but this time, No one softened or took his side. Even Mu Yuwei turned her head away. She was not the brightest person usually, but she still knew right from wrong. Mu Xuan was ultimately sent away from the Mu family. Their family businesses faced a boycott, one after another. They went bankrupt or faced closure. They had finally gotten exactly what they deserved. When Yimo looked at me from inside the room, there was no longer any resentment in her eyes. Thank you for getting justice from me. Seeing them receive the punishment they deserved, I can finally leave in peace. I smiled and nodded. Go be reborn. Your next life will be safe and peaceful. She dissolved into specks of starlight and vanish. A surge of pure merit flowed into my body. I felt my strength increase considerably. Life returned to its former peace. I became the anchor of Class F. I led the whole class to a remarkable comeback. Lu Qiyuping also shed her tough girl swagger. She got into a good university. I enjoyed the warmth of family in the Mu household. My parents and sisters all spoiled me. Though I was still sharp-tongued and loved snapping back at people, they knew I was kind at heart. They all indulged my little temper. Life in the mortal world is quite wonderful. As for my identity as the young lord of Wangsi City, I'll return after experiencing this lifetime here and take over those